Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 6 of the May Contain Nuts podcast, where Emilio just about fell out of his chair. I was about to click begin the podcast, and Emilio goes, "Oh fuck! I just fell out of my chair." I wish I caught that on recording, but it's okay. We're here. We're ready to talk about college football. A lot of college football talk today. A little bit of NFL. We got Zach here. We got Emilio talking about his Buckeyes today, and a lot of other teams. Boys, how we doing? How are we feeling after this first week of real college football?
Feeling good, man. It's back. Big Ten football's back. It was a great feeling to wake up at 10 o'clock and watch all the pregame videos. I don't know if any of these listeners caught the OSU Instagram page, the pregame video that they put out.
It was nice.
They just about made me want to run through a brick wall.
It was nice.
I don't know. It's just a good feeling, you know. It's not Ohio State in the fall if you're not waking up on Saturdays to watch football in some capacity. So
you're not getting up at 5 a.m. with the early crowd.
Maybe last year, but due to circumstances this year, I kind of had to scale it back. But nevertheless, it was a good feeling to throw on the jersey and to go watch
Michigan game. You waking up at 2 a.m. and starting your drinking then, partying then.
We'll see. I'll be home, so I'll do it with my parents. Who knows?
Oh, is that? Oh, because it'll be after Thanksgiving. Right?
Yes, it's actually the first game that goes on while the students are back home.
No way.
So, yep.
Damn, it's supposed to be at Ohio State this year too, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
Do they get to play it at Ohio State next year then, or is it just played at Ohio State with an empty stadium, and then?
I think I don't know if they can go back and forth. So yeah,
especially for the seniors,
that's
tough.
Sad.
Yeah, it's very tough.
But yeah, it's a good week of college football.
Yeah. Before we get into any more, quick congratulations to the Dodgers.
Oh yeah,
of course. That elusive World Series is finally theirs.
Dude, imagine the season started like 2 months ago. Like 2.5 months ago. It is kind of wild.
And you know what's even crazier?
What?
I think I saw some today. It's like 155 days until opening day.
You know what's even crazier? Taking out a pitcher when he's throwing a shutout.
Kevin Cash is the real MVP here. Let's get that right.
Dodgers World Series MVP Kevin Cash.
No, you know who the real MVP is Sabermetrics.
Yeah, Moneyball.
Oh,
number one sports movie, as we learned last week. Number one sports movie.
Your number one sports movie.
No, number one sports movie.
I believe Emilio will back me up on this. Remember the Titans.
Yeah.
Moneyball's a close second.
Number 3 sports movie behind Happy Gilmore.
But how, just Justin Turner. I don't know what
Dude, that game was just it was a wild game 6. We were hoping for a game 7, but
did you catch how it all went down?
When did they pull him out? When did they pull him out of the game?
I wasn't even aware that they pulled him out, but
I wasn't either.
Because I guess after they won, I was like, I was thinking to myself, oh, good for Clayton Kershaw, good for Corey Seager, good for Dave Roberts, and then it dawned on me, I was like, oh, good for Justin Turner.
Yeah, all these players had been Dodgers for a while.
Right.
And then it's like, where is he?
Why is he not on the field? And then they get to the celebration. It's like, oh, he is on the field. Oh, nice.
Why
and then the guy cuts in and goes, we just wanted to give everybody a little breaking news update. Justin Turner was removed to the game due to a positive COVID test. We're like, huh?
I mean, there are videos of him without a mask, sitting next to Dave Roberts, kissing his wife. His wife.
That's a yikes.
I don't care if you get COVID.
That's a yikes. I mean, I would assume he would have been like, hey, is this all right? I have COVID, and she's like, you just won the fucking World Series. Do whatever you want.
I mean, yeah, maybe, but anyway, from what I've read, the test from the previous day had come back inconclusive.
Okay.
And so they sent more samples in. Like it came back during the second inning inconclusive is when the MLB was made aware.
The test came back inconclusive?
Yeah, that's when the MLB was made aware that it had come back inconclusive.
Okay.
And then so they did like some rapid, I think it was the PCR thing. I'm not too
Is it the
familiar,
spit test?
I'm not. They got some sort of samples because obviously they didn't test him mid game.
Oh yeah.
And then
They
I
just
think
went
he
to the
was
bathroom.
pulled. I think he was pulled before the 8th inning started because that had come back positive, and the MLB had called the Dodgers and said like, you need to take him out of the game right now.
Hey, get him out. Get him out now.
Yeah, I'm happy for Dave Roberts. I'm happy for Clayton Kershaw. He's finally got that ring. He's definitely up there as one of the most dominant pitchers of
Our lifetime.
all time, I think, honestly.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, first ballot Hall of Famer.
Oh, not a question. This is just icing on the cake.
But yeah, congrats to the Dodgers. Congrats to Corey Seager on the MVP. I was hoping it was Kershaw. I so badly wanted it to be Kershaw, but I knew it would be Seager just because of how well he played during the series. But I was just hoping because Kershaw has been a playoff nightmare this last couple of seasons, and this year was lights out.
Yeah, 4-1 record. I think it was something like a 2.6 something ERA.
Yes,
he was on it. You had a case for Kershaw, Mookie Betts, or Corey Seager.
Yeah,
but it
was good to see. Yeah, Sam was we watched the ninth inning together, and Sam said that he was glad that a player that was a longtime Dodger won the title because it was kind of a culmination of all those years that they had come up short. And I mean, obviously, Mookie Betts, without a doubt, had the stats to make a claim for it. But it was just good to see somebody like Corey Seager, who had been with the team for a long time, who had been through
been through the Astros.
Right.
Yeah, but it had to be somebody that was on the team that faced the Astros. It had to be.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I have no doubt the Dodgers will be back again. And sure. I would absolutely be okay with Mookie winning it in the next 11 years on his contract or whatever he's got.
I think it's 12.
12 years on his contract that he's got. But I really needed it to be one of those players on the Astros team just to finish the revenge tour. They had to do it to him.
Yeah. Yeah, it is complete. It is complete.
Good for the Dodgers. Moving on to college football. First big week of college football. We're all excited. We're all ready. We're going to start with number 25 for this week. And we're going to kind of just go down the list, talk about kind of how they did, who they played, maybe a stat or two if we have something. I know Emilio has numbers 25 through 21. Emilio, what are you seeing out of Boise State?
Boise State, the team out west, known for its iconic blue turf. Granted, before a couple hours ago, I didn't really know much about Boise State, but I know that they opened the season this week, was their first game against Utah State University. And from what I saw, at least from the stats wise, is that they played a very bad Utah State team. They outgained them in total yards 480 to 203, 279 to 92 through the air, 111 through 171 through the ground, 25 first downs to giving up just 12. So, Boise State has zero FBS championship aspirations, I think, but I think it was probably a very good way to start their season. They put up 21 points in the second quarter, so looks like they opened up the season running, and we'll see if there's any movement there, but Yeah, and if I can
Boise
just see,
State. I mean, yeah, there's nothing too much to say. You said it was their first game of the season,
it was their first game in the
so
season. Yeah.
they must have a lot of potential if they're already ranked 25.
Suppose so. They play Air Force next week, and then they have BYU in a couple of
BYU
weeks.
is number
So
11 right now.
number
So
11 at the moment.
a
Yep.
lot of upside. Who else they have on their schedule? Wyoming, UNLV.
Colorado State, Hawaii, San Jose State. Yeah, they don't really play a lot of big names
Mountain West, yeah.
other than BYU, but you know, it's always good to see a school open up the
You
pandemic season.
like seeing the teams like Boise State, like
Right.
when we get to them, Coastal Carolina, Marshall. You love seeing those type of teams break into the top 25.
Yep. Yep.
Emilio, you've got Oklahoma next.
24 ranked Oklahoma. They
Tough
had a
season.
solid win against unranked TCU. I mean, you can't really harp on them too much for beating an unranked team, but yeah, as Sam kind of foreshadowed a little bit, it's been a disappointing season for Oklahoma. I think a lot of people had very high expectations of Oklahoma and Spencer Rattler. I don't know if they were really well placed, especially because of just the inconsistency that we've seen in the Big 12.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Mims was impressive, I suppose. He had a big day through the running through the air as well. But just like the biggest thing I think about Oklahoma is that, you know, especially after those years with Baker and with Kyler Murray and Jalen Hurts, like a lot of people just have these high expectations for them. And I mean, this is Rattler's first year as a starter, so I think if they can go the entire season being ranked in the top 25, I think that's a solid season for them. But I think that their aspirations for the playoff are
Absolutely done.
quickly fading.
I don't think there's a chance.
No.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
that they have faded. They're gone. There's no way Oklahoma.
There's going to be no Big 12 team in it this year. I don't think.
By any stretch of the means.
I mean, I guess you can
Kansas
argue
State or Oklahoma State, maybe.
Not
but
Kansas State. I mean, I haven't seen them play. I don't know what they're all about, but
we'll get to Oklahoma State eventually. But they have Kansas State and Oklahoma still to play. So.
Oklahoma State is it has the best chance right now.
I'd say so.
Certainly. So going off of that, the team that Oklahoma State just beat, Iowa State, they beat them for the lead in the Big 12. Couldn't really find much about Iowa State, honestly. I found many articles saying that, you know, people that has started to believe in Iowa State were quickly reminded that this team is extremely disappointing when it comes to meeting expectations. They've played some big games. They've had some upsets in the past, but all their big wins have come with upsets. They have never, according to multiple reports that I saw, they have yet to win that big game that they're favored in. Most of their big games that they win, they are considered the underdog. So I don't know. I mean, they were in first in the Big 12 for a while, and then they're just kind of downward spiral from here. So we'll see. We'll see if they move up, but doubt it. Again, like they said, the Big 12 is fairly disappointing this year.
Yeah, I don't have much on Ohio State. I have a lot on this next team, though, Emilio.
Yeah, SMU. They
throttled this weekend.
They lost
Absolutely
to a very good to a UC team, which will be hit on later.
Yes,
but the team that received the blunt end of the stick, SMU. From what I read, from what I saw, they still have ways to go in order to be one of the top teams in the American Athletic Conference.
Yeah. See, the thing with us is that, like, you've got UCF, which usually is pretty good. Memphis, who is usually pretty good, and then you have UC, who is kind of just been taking over that division as of late.
UC is on one this year, and I mean they thoroughly outplayed SMU in all phases. They beat the brakes off them on defense. They outgained them on offense by quite a bit. I mean, can't really harp on them too much. I mean, UC is a very good football team, and I think SMU. I remember reading that they were marketing this team as like this game was like the biggest game of the day or something, or like they had that night slot or whatever, and didn't really live up to expectations. The program has come a long way though. I remember SMU used to be very, very, very bad, and this year has been one of their best up to
One
this
of their
week.
better years, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give
So I
them that.
mean, they
I'll
have
give them that.
games against
Much better basketball.
Navy, Temple, Tulsa, Houston, East Carolina. So we'll see how they fare in those games, but clearly they still have quite a ways to go in order to make it to the top of that conference with teams like Cincinnati. And then rounding out the my teams that I said something on, USC. They are the 21st ranked team. They haven't actually played a game yet.
Which I wonder how do they go about ranking the teams that haven't played a game yet? What do you think they go off of?
I guess they go off of their strength of schedule from last year, who they're playing. I mean, who they're returning. I have here that they're returning 4 starters from the 4th ranked pass defense in 2019. So they have some solid returning pieces. Their quarterback Kedon Slavis returns for his sophomore season. Last year was his first year, and he did fairly well. And one interesting stat that I read about this USC season, not so much about their team, but just about their season in general, is that they have their annual game against Notre Dame, and this will be the first time since 1945 that they will not play each other. So it has been a minute since those teams have missed a game against each other, and
because Notre Dame's in the ACC this year.
Yep.
Because that was the only way they could play, right? Was if they were in the ACC.
Correct. Yeah. So
man, that's sad. That's a big rivalry too.
It is. Yeah.
That's one of the bigger ones in college football, I would think.
Yep. So we get no Trojans versus Fighting Irish this year, but we'll see. When does the Pac-12 return?
November 7th.
November 7th. That's right. Yeah. So it'll be probably them and Oregon for
shout out Darren George. That's my father. It'll be his birthday.
For the Pac-12 title.
All right. Moving on to a new team. First appearance. Actually, I mean they've been in it for a couple weeks now since we're just now covering them. But first season with an appearance in the top 25. Coastal Carolina, the Chanticleers. The Chanticleers have been playing very well this year. They've only been in the FBS for 3 years. So they moved up in 2017. 2017, they went 3-9. 2018, they went 5-7. 2019, they went 5-7. 2020, they are 5-0. They beat their first ranked team ever this year at Louisiana. Things are looking up for them. Things are very much looking up for the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. Now, I don't know if this is a product of COVID and just everything that's been going on. Not like normally this is where you would see a lot of the Big Ten teams that aren't really on this list. That's where a lot of these teams will fall, kind of in this area. The Big 12 teams when they're playing really well, the Pac-12 teams. There's a lot of those teams that are absent from these lists this year, and I feel like that's kind of where Coastal Carolina might come into play. But I mean, who knows? Maybe if they come up against some more like pretty good teams, I mean, it won't happen this year. But if they come up against some pretty good teams, they might be able to pull off some miracles. But they're playing in the Sun Belt, so I don't know. They got a couple more games on ESPN. Maybe I'll catch one of them. But Chanticleers looking up. Next, we have number 19, Marshall. Marshall's next game actually got postponed because of COVID. I don't really know who had COVID. I don't know if it was Marshall's fault or if it was whoever they're playing. I forget.
Florida International or something.
Yeah. Florida International. Yeah, their game got postponed. But I saw a thing on ESPN This is out of all the remaining teams that are undefeated, Marshall has the best chance to pull through and be to go undefeated. Now, that might just be because they play in the CUSA, which would make a lot of sense.
The Conference USA, best
Yeah.
conference, best non-Power 5 conference.
That is far from true. They play, yeah, but yeah, they've got teams like who's this? Who's Charlotte 49ers. They play
Hey, they've got Appalachian State.
Yeah, I mean, sure. They beat Appalachian State 17-7. They've had
That was a ranked win.
They've had 3 games this year get postponed because of COVID.
Yeah,
Jeez.
I guess they've had a rough time over there at the CUSA.
Yeah. I guess the only positive thing I can say about this team right now that I can find is that at the beginning of the year they beat the brakes off of Eastern Kentucky, won 59-0.
Jeez.
So go Herd, go Thundering Herd. We are Marshall. We are Marshall.
Number 4 movie.
A number 4 movie. These next 2 teams we're going to talk about, all 3 of us.
I was going to say, yeah, you should group these together.
Yeah, we're going to group these next 2 together because wow and yikes. Number 18, Penn State. Number 17, Indiana. Penn State previously ranked at number 8. Indiana previously unranked and not getting any top 25 votes. Now ranked at number 17. This is a wild game.
It was a poorly coached game down at the end. Do you mind if I talk about this, Sam?
Yeah. You can talk about it.
I don't know if you got a chance to catch the game.
I didn't catch all of the game. I caught some of the game.
Were you able to catch it? Were either of you able to catch the last 2 minutes?
I was not. I just saw the final play, which I'm
the
sure
last 2 minutes, as in overtime.
No, it didn't even make it to overtime, did it?
It did.
No,
It did.
yeah. My bad. I'm talking about the last 2 minutes
of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I did not see it.
So Penn State was, I don't remember how much they were leading by, but they were I want to say they were leading by 1.
Going into the final drive or something.
Yeah, going into their final drive, and all they had to do was run the clock out, and they decided to score a touchdown. That thus giving Indiana their chance.
Yeah, they were winning. They were winning 21-20.
Yeah, giving Indiana the chance to come down and tie the game.
I.e., Todd Gurley.
Yeah, and if I'm remembering correctly, Indiana, after they had scored, had done some sort of squib kick sort of deal to where Penn State got the ball at the 50-yard line. So they had a legitimate chance to win in
You mean Indiana?
No, after Indiana had scored to tie the game. They had squibbed it to Penn State, giving them a legitimate chance for a game-winning field goal.
Yeah.
So that right there was just mind-boggling to me.
That they didn't score?
It's just mind-boggling how both coaches, it seemed like both coaches were just trying to lose the game or trying to go to overtime. I don't even know.
I mean, I think Indiana has a much better chance to win that game by pushing it to overtime.
For sure.
That's their best chance because they had a lot of the momentum going into that game.
Yeah,
during the game.
Yeah, after Penn State took the lead, I was kind of this is it.
Yeah, but that play at the end, dude, it could have gone either way. It really could have.
It was so close.
It was the point. I know we talked about this off air, but no matter what the call on the field was, it wasn't going to get reversed. There was no way they could have reversed it.
It was one of the most athletic plays I've seen, though. I mean,
yeah,
it looks
dog
like
stretched.
and just to be able to keep his body like from not hitting out of bounds, it was quite impressive.
Yeah, I think it was the right call though, going for 2. Not because if they try
Oh,
to
yeah.
keep going in overtime, they lose that game.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's for Indiana, which is like never been a big program. Like, and
Football, yeah.
and you have a chance to win a game like that. Like,
Against a number 8 team.
yeah, you go for the win.
Now does Penn State just get absolutely embarrassed this week against Ohio State?
We'll see.
Or do they come out with a fire?
Part of
They are certainly set up to play a better game. It's a night game. It's at home in Happy Valley.
Yeah,
That game was at Indiana, right?
it was not.
Wasn't Happy Valley? Oh my!
I thought it was at Penn State.
The Halloween night game, Happy Valley. They're certainly
No,
poised.
Indiana.
They're certainly poised to whatchamacallit?
To win the
Comeback
game.
To not necessarily win the game, but to just at least come out
To put up a
and
fight.
play better. Yeah,
To play like a number 8 team should have played.
Yeah,
but
it won't be.
Penn State has had its history of just being disappointing. So
Well, I think, and it might be too early to say this, but I'm gonna just say it anyways. I think Penn State just lost their chances of coming close to Ohio State at all this season to try to dethrone them.
Yeah. As a new Ohio State fan this year, I will say, if they played like they did against Indiana, against Ohio State, it won't be close.
Going to get embarrassed.
It won't be close. And I'm not. I'm not necessarily talking from like an offensive standpoint, because I mean it wasn't overtime, but they still put up 35 points. I mean, doing that against anybody is tough, and it's just their defense. I mean, they were being dominated by an Indiana team.
Yeah, they really did. At one point, Indiana was up 17-7, which I mean, it's only a 10-point lead, but 17-7 just sounds very daunting.
I mean, I think the game will come down to, and we can touch on this a little bit more when Emilio talks about Ohio State, but I think the game's going to come down to Ohio State's defense. And if they play like they can, and like they did for the entire second half against Nebraska, it will be a slaughtering.
Because there's no question about Ohio State's offense.
Our defense and our rush offense. Our rush offense was a little concerning, but we'll get to that when we get there. But
first, we got to talk about Kansas State. And we kind of touched on them before. They're in first place in the Big 12, kind of. I think Oklahoma State's the better team, but they've won a lot of close games. They lost one against Arkansas State at the beginning of the year by 4, and then they beat at the time number 3 Oklahoma. They beat them by 3. They beat Texas Tech, who is ranked now, right?
Texas Tech is no longer ranked.
No longer ranked? Okay. They beat Texas Tech by 10. They beat TCU by 7. And then this week they came out and just smacked Kansas upside the head. So they got West Virginia this week at West Virginia. West Virginia, I mean, they're never bad. They've always been kind of average.
I feel like last year they were low-key bad.
West Virginia, what were they last year? What did they do last year? Let's see here. 2019. Oh yeah, they were 5-7. Last year they were kind of bad. Before that, they were 8-4. West Virginia. But here's the thing: I see West Virginia as a perennial average team. You never know what you're going to get from them.
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
So last year, West Virginia beat Kansas State last year by 29. Quick math. So we'll see how Kansas State comes out to play this year. Who knows what team you'll get? But I don't know if they're quite the best team in the Big 12, even though technically they're at the top of the division. Mr. Lorai, you have the next set of teams.
So coming in at number 15, we've got North Carolina. They beat their rival NC State pretty handily, 48-21. They had a promising start to the year.
They were ranked number 5 at one point.
Yeah, Sam Howell was playing pretty well. Then they had that tough loss to Florida State, which, in my opinion, kind of diminished any credibility that they had of being in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
One of the bright spots I just wanted to talk about for this game was their running back, Javonte Williams, had 19 carries for 160 yards and 3 TDs. Now, granted, I didn't watch the game, and I don't know much about North Carolina State, but anytime somebody puts up those kind of numbers, they've had to have just been dominating. So I guess we can look for that in future games from him. I'm quickly looking up their remaining schedule to see who they have left. Their big game. Oh, they'll play Notre Dame on the 27th of November and Miami on the 5th of December. So those will be their two big games to really see if they're getting over that hump and becoming not just a basketball school.
They are. Because they definitely are currently just a basketball school. Actually, they were bad last year in basketball.
They were horrible last year in basketball. I was about to say.
I was gonna say, yeah, weren't they like really bad and then kind of just got
the pandemic the pandemic season did them so good because they were
not gonna make
They were not gonna make the tournament.
Good.
Yeah. To be fair, they did deal with some injuries, and I honestly don't know what was going on with North Carolina, but a typical basketball school.
I remember Ohio State beat North Carolina early in the year, and that was a huge, huge win for us. And later in the year, close to when the tournament was approaching, after Carolina had dropped like 3 or 4 other really bad games, that win against North Carolina didn't even look very good for us anymore.
Yeah, it was a rough year for them, but that's all I have on North Carolina. Moving on to number 14, Oregon. Like we said, the Pac-12 starts back up on the 7th. They have the 7:30 game against Stanford. Oregon, I don't really know much about. I believe that their starter is going to be Tyler Sow. I want to say that's how you say it.
Big shoes to fill.
Yeah, last year he got into a couple games, went 12 for 15 for 144 yards and 3 touchdowns over the course of the season. And from what I've read, he is currently leading the quarterback race. They've got a big QB room over there in Oregon. I think it's like 5 deep. It's like 5 deep.
Oh my.
But he's looking like he's going to be the starter. I know they just recently got a big defensive recruit. I think he was the number 1 linebacker in the country. So I'll be interested to see how that plays out, how their defense looks. But
big upsides. A lot of big upsides.
Yeah. I'm thinking they win the Pac-12 pretty easly. And
who's their other competition? Would just be
USC, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Moving on to 13, Michigan versus Minnesota. Michigan, this was just a dominating win for them, 49-24. I was fortunate to be able to watch this game, and the defense looked just phenomenal against, I would say, a pretty good Minnesota team. I mean, that Minnesota team came off a good season last year. They were coming in this year with potential. I mean, high hopes, and they were just dominated in every aspect of the game. Their offense couldn't get anything going against Michigan. Their special teams looked horrible. And then another thing I wanted to touch on is it looks like Michigan finally has a quarterback in Joe Milton. I mean, these last couple of years, their Shea Patterson just wasn't it. I can't remember who the one before him was, but that's something they've really lacked on offense. And wasn't a super flashy game for Milton. He was 15 for 22 for 225 with 1 touchdown and a QBR of 93. But just the way he played and the way he ran the offense, I think it's very good that Michigan has him.
Yeah. And maybe it'll give Harbaugh a little bit more of an edge this year. Maybe. Harbaugh's like 1 or 2 more seasons away from getting fired. I mean this in the most Ohio State fan way possible. If he doesn't beat Ohio State, which I don't think he is, that's the most important game to Michigan fans. If they keep losing, they're gonna call for him to be fired.
Oh, Sam, yeah, you want to hear something absolutely terrifying that you're just gonna cringe at the sound of? But my roommate brought it up. He said that if Harbaugh is fired in the very near future, which I could very well see, Michigan is going to put all their chips on the table to bring Fickle to Michigan.
Wow.
That's not going to happen. Fickle just signed a 6-year deal with UC.
Sam, I'm sorry to break it to you, but if he can leave to go to the Big Ten, he's going to do it in a heartbeat. If he can get out of his contract
No.
You know how much
don't take this from me.
That's why
Do you know what Fick has done to this program?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I felt really bad, especially after such a good win, but I couldn't help but bring it up because, like you said, I mean, I personally, I think Harbaugh should have been out the door already.
I'm with you on that.
Michigan State was trying to pull in Fickle, and he said nah.
Okay,
Michigan State was going after him.
And Michigan are 2 different teams.
Yeah, I know, but you said if he has a chance to get in the Big Ten, and he did.
I did say that.
He did.
Big Ten.
I wouldn't even said nah.
I wouldn't even say Michigan's a Big Ten contender, but big name school maybe.
Yeah, Michigan has always been a relatively good college football team.
I've never beat Ohio State. But
when was the last team Michigan beat Ohio State?
It's been like 8 years.
It's been, yeah.
They never beat Urban Meyer. Right?
It was the Fickle year, wasn't it? It was the year that we were transitioning between, or I honestly I don't really remember, but I don't think Urban Meyer was head coach.
No, Urban Meyer is undefeated against Michigan, I believe.
Last time Michigan beat Ohio State.
While you're looking that up, I did want to say this. Just because we were on the topic of Big Ten contenders, I will always say and have always said that the reason that the Big Ten is not the best conference in college football is because of the bottom tier teams. I mean, when I think of Big Ten contenders, I think of Ohio State, Penn State, Wisconsin, and Michigan, and that's it. But when I look at I personally, it may be a little biased just because I am a Georgia fan, but I personally think that the SEC is the best conference in college football, and it's because we consistently have
I can agree with that.
5, 6, 7 teams in the top 25, usually 2 to 3 in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's more good teams than there are bad teams in the SEC, and I think there's more bad teams than there are good teams in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I mean, Rutgers has always been a bottom feeder, but they had a big win. Sorry,
they've always been poopy.
If I'm not mistaken, but yeah, I mean, I think I would even go as far as to say that the only really team that the SEC even respects is Ohio State, and that's with a grudging respect. Like they don't really want to, but they kind of have to.
When was the last time Ohio State played an SEC team?
Didn't they?
And how did that end?
no.
The last time Michigan beat Ohio State, by the way, was 2011, and that was an unranked Ohio State team.
Yeah, so
that was the
98.
last time Ohio State was unranked. They haven't. Yeah, they haven't. And let's see who the coach was.
Might have been Fickle, honestly, if I'm not mistaken.
That would be wild. Yeah, it was Luke Fickle.
Yep.
So they want to bring in the guy that they beat. That would make sense, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
That would make sense.
Um,
Luke Fickle, if you're hearing this, please stay with UC. Please.
moving on.
We're gonna talk about him in a minute.
Moving on to number 12, we've got a Miami team that beat Virginia in a very defensive game, 19-14. For some reason, no matter how like good Miami is or how bad or how good or bad Virginia is, it always seems to be just like one of those games, like one of those just drag it out. Like basically, if you score 3 touchdowns, you're winning. Is what Miami did. It just, I mean, it wasn't like it was an ugly game because I was able to watch this too. I don't want to call it an ugly game. It was just slow, and it felt like Miami was never like in danger of
losing.
I mean, they were up 10-7 at half, and it just never felt like they were. Yeah, it just never felt like they were in any danger of losing. It was just like one of those games. A bright spot for Miami is they finally got their quarterback, De'Ara King.
At the beginning of the year, I thought he was going to be a Heisman contender, but
He was a Heisman contender early, but
yeah, he was. I think in order for that to really stick, he would have needed to beat Clemson,
which we knew wasn't going to happen.
No.
Is there anybody in the ACC? Actually, we'll get to that when we talk to Clemson.
Yeah. He in this game, De'Ara King went 21 for 30 for 322 yards with a touchdown pass. But he's also sacked 5 times. Excuse me. And he had a QBR of 76.9. Sorry. Which I mean it's an average game. I would call that. He had a lot of passing yards. It just didn't really produce into much. I wanted to touch on his stats for the season. He's got 1,401 passing yards, which is currently 14th in college football. He's got 11 touchdowns, which is tied for 14th. And then I couldn't find his full rushing stats, but he is also a very good runner. He did have 14 carries for 84 yards and a touchdown in that Clemson game.
Okay.
But yeah, Miami is they're the little brother to Clemson. I think they'll beat every team that they've got left in the ACC. I can pull that up real quick just to see if they've got any other. I know I said they had North Carolina in December,
which could be a big game.
That could be a good game. That could be a really good game. I just don't think they're just. I'm always going to see him as Clemson's little brother. I mean, I think it was 2016 where they went into that ACC championship game. It was a win or basically not make the college football playoffs sort of situation, and they folded.
Yeah.
And yes, Miami's last game of the year would be North Carolina, and that is also their only game that's left against a ranked opponent.
Miami hasn't been the same since the U. Since they became the U.
That team was something special. But yeah, I mean, I see them winning out, potentially facing Clemson in the ACC championship again.
How badly did they lose to Clemson? Did we say that?
It was bad. I remember going and watching the game with my dad because he's a big Miami fan, and it wasn't pretty. Oh, are you talking about this year? I thought you were talking about the ACC championship this year.
No, this year.
This year wasn't pretty either. It was Let me find it. 42-17.
Okay, yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, not pretty. De'Aaron King went 12 for 28
You're doing that.
for 121 yards and 2 interceptions.
Yikes.
All right. Last team before we hit in the top 10, Zach. What are you seeing from the boys at BYU?
BYU, just another slaughtering 52-14 against a 1-6 Texas State. Oh God, I got something caught in my throat. I don't know what it is. 1-6 Texas State team. I just had it down as another dominating game. I don't think BYU has that win yet. I put that in quotations to really consider them a threat. Their bright spot is their quarterback, Zach Wilson, who's been playing phenomenally. You went 19 for 25 in this game for 287 yards and 4 touchdowns with a QBR of 87.6. On the season, he's got 1,928 yards, which is second in college football.
Jeez.
And he's got 16 touchdowns, which is currently 5th. He is just the saving grace for this team. He's the reason that they are where they are. I just look to him, see if he's got any other big games in him, and potentially put him in the Heisman Trophy watch.
Potential.
Yeah, but that's all I really have on the boys over at BYU.
All right. Hitting into the big top 10. Nobody in particular has this section. We're kind of all just going to go free for all it. We'll talk about Florida first at number 10. How are we feeling about Florida at number 10?
There's not really much to talk about them. They didn't play last week.
The thing is, they lost to A&M. Early in the season. A&M's ranked 2 above them.
Go Aggies.
They've got Missouri coming up this week. I actually had the pleasure of playing against Missouri's quarterback in basketball when I was in high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's an Alter grad, year below me.
Oh, wow.
He's looking good. Kyle Trask doesn't have the numbers right now, but they had that game postponed against LSU.
Yeah, LSU's got some work to do.
Yeah,
I think they'll beat LSU pretty handily.
I've never considered Florida. They're always like them and Texas.
Yeah,
I kind of group them in the same of like they're always just super overhyped. They have this like history of being very good, but
can never make the big jump when they need to.
yeah, and I just like they're always just
As a preset.
they're always super overhyped and just
Yeah. Yeah, that loss to Texas A&M really killed them. They only lost by 3, but that really killed them. They got Georgia coming up in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that'll be a fun game. It always is.
And that's would you say that's Georgia's biggest rival because they're both in the East of the SEC?
I would actually say that Auburn is because that rivalry goes pretty deep. But Florida, I would say Florida's a close second.
All right, moving on to Wisconsin. We got a lot to talk about with Wisconsin.
we do.
What?
We do.
What's going on over there?
Quite a bit. So they beat the ever-living crap out of Illinois, 45-7. Graham Mertz is looking fantastic. And then we get the news this week that he came down with the CO. My man spread it to most of the quarterback room.
Does that include our boy Chase Wolf?
That does include St. Xavier grad Chase Wolf, but it does not include Danny Vandenboom. Danny Vandenboom.
I've been telling these boys Zach and Sam to do a segment on top 5 all-time sports names, and that one
that is an all-time one.
Certainly make an appearance.
Today we're doing a Halloween themed one, top 5 candies. But But yeah, that'll be coming up because there's some great football names, and that definitely is up on the list for sure.
But getting back to the unfortunate, and I do mean unfortunate because as a fan of not only Ohio State but football and sports, it's you want to see a competitive race for the Big Ten, especially with us playing Wisconsin, and if we beat them, we want our win against them to look good, to strengthen our resume. But one thing that I would like to all of us to talk about is how we feel about the 21-day rule that the NCAA has implemented on if a player comes down with COVID at any point, that they must be the earliest that they could possibly return would be 21 days from the
3 weeks, which
initial diagnosis.
In the Big Ten is half the season. He wouldn't come back. So this week got canceled. They played Purdue the week after, which he wouldn't get to play. They play number 13, the biggest game on their schedule, number 13 Michigan. He's not going to be there for that one, and they could come back against the Northwestern. The only other big game they have on their schedule is IU. They play Indiana second to last week. But he's going to miss all their important games. Now, if they had the normal 14-day rule, like almost every other sport has, or it might even be 10-day rule.
I think it's 10, isn't it?
Yeah, 10-day rule.
Yeah, it's 10
he would
days.
Be back. He'd be back against that Michigan team. They'd be able to put him in the game. Their best quarterback by far. Not to knock on Chase Wolf, the hometown boy, but they need Graham Mertz against they need him against Michigan, and not having him is going to be a killer. Zach?
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand what this 21-day thing is about. It makes no sense whatsoever.
I just don't get it. Like, what knowledge that makes me pay the question? What knowledge does the Big Ten have to make them believe? Like, do they know something about COVID that nobody else knows?
I don't even. It's not even Big Ten, is it? It's NCAA.
It's just the Big Ten.
It's just the Big Ten.
Yeah, because the UC players, I think, are getting to play next week.
Yeah, so I mean as a student of Ohio State and as a fan of a team that has very real national title aspirations, it begs the question:
if Fields goes down with COVID,
God forbid, our Lord and Savior Justin Fields comes down with the virus at any point, how big of a hit does that take on our season? Because it's, I mean, and I'll get into the strengths and weaknesses of what I saw of Ohio State when we get to them, but he is the engine that makes that lethal Ohio State offense run, and being without him would just be devastating. And I think that
Ohio State has no chance if they don't have him.
There are multiple teams that I'm sure that have a player that feel the same way.
Yeah, I mean,
Clemson with Trevor Lawrence and stuff like that. But again, it's just the Big Ten. So does that put the Big Ten at a disadvantage almost? I don't know.
And the fact that they only play 8 games this season just makes it so much worse. It makes it so much more impactful. And on part of my take today, they were talking about how is this just the Big Ten's fuck you to the NCAA, and how like, oh, we told you we didn't want to play, so if you come down with COVID, this is your punishment. Like that, it just seems so bizarre that would be their response to a team coming down with COVID.
Yeah,
not a fan.
I agree with that.
Wisconsin, if we want to talk about how Wisconsin played very well. I think their shot just got destroyed because of the dumb COVID-19 rule that the Big Ten has. They looked like a team that could give Ohio State a run for their money, but there's no chance that they're going to even have a shot to. There's no chance. They're not going to get the chance to because of these stupid rules.
Hope we're wrong, but again, it's not looking good for Wisconsin and for the Big Ten in general.
Yeah. Number 8, Texas A&M. Like we mentioned earlier, they had that big win against Florida. What was Florida ranked when they played them?
4.
4. Okay, yeah, that's a big win.
Yeah, they got throttled by Alabama, but that's to be expected.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really do too much there.
Yeah, you can't really knock them for that. They had a pretty good win against Mississippi State, 28-14 last week. Overall, I think they look pretty good. I don't think they're going to be like a real threat in the SEC, but I think as of right now, with that Florida win, they definitely deserve to be in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
It's my dad's alma mater.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Johnny Manziel.
Looking at their remaining schedule, they don't have any ranked games. They've got Auburn last game of the year. They finish off the season with LSU and Auburn, but LSU is not the same LSU, and frankly, neither is Auburn.
I agree.
In reality, without there being significant help from the refs in 2 blown calls, Auburn should be 1-4 as of right now.
I could see that.
Yeah, that game against Kentucky where I don't even remember what they did, but I think they ended up scoring a late touchdown when they shouldn't have. Or no, they did not give Kentucky a touchdown where he clearly crossed the line, which then gave Auburn the chance to drive down and pretty sure kick the game-winning field goal. And the same thing happened against Ole Miss last week where the Auburn player clearly touched the ball in the kickoff and it rolled in the end zone and was recovered by Ole Miss, but they ruled it a touchback and they ruled it non-reviewable.
That definitely should be reviewable.
Yeah, so then, I mean, I don't really see any challenges for Texas A&M on this remaining schedule, but we'll see where they go.
Good for Texas A&M.
Sam, you want to take this next team?
Oh, doggy, I do. And I coming into this game, I was a little nervous. University of Cincinnati ranked number 7. I was a little nervous. SMU's not been awful. We talked to them about them a little earlier. They were undefeated up to this point. They were the favorites going into this game. SMU was favored by 1 point for God knows what reason, because somehow the UC Bearcats just demolished them. And I say somehow because UC's quarterback Desmond Ridder had 126 passing yards for 1 touchdown. UC's leading rusher was quarterback Desmond Ridder with 179 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. And then their leading receiver had 24 receiving yards. That UC is not going to go far this year if they don't figure out something with their passing offense. I'm not trying to knock against Desmond Ridder. The dude is a magician with his legs. But he had a 91-yard touchdown run in the game, and that was really it for his big plays. He really wasn't all that spectacular through the air, and it gives me a lot of concern going into this year for us to contend, because UC is clearly shown they're the best, in my opinion, and this is just me, a UC student, my opinion, the best non-Power 5 team. Agree?
I could agree with that, yeah.
I
Zach?
can as well, yeah.
They are by far the best non-Power 5 team, and I love it. Travis Kelce was on the Pat McAfee show this week, hyping up UC, hyping up Fickle's program and what he's done to this team. He really came in here after Tuberville and completely changed everything. He changed everything with this team. It is spectacular what he's done to this program, and I couldn't be happier as a UC fan.
He's done well.
He has turned this program from a team that could maybe once in a while get a top 25 spot to a perennial top 25, top 15 team. And maybe soon a perennial top 10 team. He just signed a new contract this year. Very, very big contract. his contract was. Hold on. Guys, stall for me.
Well, I think as you look that up, I think that to your point about what you said about Desmond Ritter and his um, rushing attack versus ground attack. I mean, I think that they are certainly right now they are certainly respectable, but to your point, I think in order to hang with the big guys, with the big dogs, the I don't know, the Ohio States, the Alabama. I mean, I don't even know if they're at anywhere near that level yet, but I don't know. It college football is a team where whoever scores the most. This sounds kind of like duh, but like a good defense really isn't going to get you that far anymore. Like you need an offense that can consistently put up 45 plus, 50 plus points. And I don't know if UC has the passing attack to do that, because we see now that teams just like to send the ball down the field off play action and roll out and stuff, and do all this fancy stuff with their quarterback and through the air. So I think that Desmond Ritter played very, very well against SMU. He, to your point, he had that 91-yard rushing touchdown, but he needs to have a stretch of maybe like 3 or 4 games where he really shows that he's able to win the game with his arm.
Yeah.
And until he does that, I don't know if I'm ready to put UC up in that upper echelon of teams. Yeah, I mean that teams that have. I mean, I don't even know if there's any realistic way for UC to have any top 5 aspirations this year, but it's something to look to build on for future success.
If UC can go undefeated, win their conference, and win their conference championship, I think they sneak in at number 4.
I don't.
It will be very hard. They would need Notre Dame.
Too many teams.
They would need Notre Dame to lose a game or two, and they would need Georgia to lose another game. And I think
it's gonna be Clemson, Alabama, and Ohio State for sure.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying they only. I mean, there's no chance UC would have gotten a 3 anyways. But the only way I could see UC sneaking in is if they have to win out. They have to win their conference championship, and then Notre Dame and Georgia both need to lose a game.
Yeah.
And then I think you put a UC number 4. And then I think they get absolutely smashed by Clemson.
Yeah. But moving on to Oklahoma State at number 6.
Wait.
We're waiting.
Wait. Luke Fickell's contract was 6 years, $20 million.
My bad.
6 years. He signed through 2026. I didn't see a buyout option, so I think I don't think Florida, Michigan's gonna touch him anytime soon. If they do, I will have even more hatred for Michigan than I already do.
I said it with complete and utter just cringe, because I don't want to see, even though I attend OSU, I'm a Cincinnati resident, and I do like to see UC succeed. So it would be gross to see Fickell.
It would be a disgrace to believe.
Betray the state of Ohio.
Okay, now we can move on to Oklahoma State.
Now moving on to Oklahoma State. Like we said earlier, we really only see this is the team that has the best chance as of right now to make it to college football playoffs out of the Big 12.
Yes.
Most of their wins have been they won a close one against Iowa State this week. Looking forward, they don't really have like any games that would be like, wow, like this is a good game. I mean, they've got Kansas State coming up on the 7th and Oklahoma on the 21st.
Beating Kansas State would almost cement them as the Big 12 champion.
Yeah, and then Oklahoma. I mean, does that game really have as big a significance as it used to?
I don't think so.
Now that
Oklahoma... I mean, whenever it's state versus you, then it's a big game within the state. But as far as as far as ranking implications, I mean, I don't know. It's not OU's year.
Ohio
So
State versus Ohio University. Who's winning?
OU by a million.
OU coming in strong.
By a million.
I'd have to take OU on that one.
Bobcats by a billion.
Um,
That might be the only U versus State where it wouldn't even be remotely close.
I mean, Kansas State. Kansas is never good at football.
But I mean, Ohio is just abysmal.
I know what you're saying. Moving on. Number
Zachary,
5.
this is all you, buddy.
My Georgia Bulldogs. I wanted to bounce off what Amelia had said about good defenses in college doesn't really matter anymore, because I just 1,000% agree with that. Georgia's always had a top 5 defense, at least these last couple years. Their defense has always been great. They just haven't been able to get it done. And the reason for that is that their passing game has never been like, wow, this is good.
Not even Fromm?
I mean, his freshman year when he led him to the national championship was his best year. And after that, he kind of went on a downfall. But to be fair, that's when he had Nick Chubb and Sony Michel and DeAndre Swift and all these guys that where they didn't really have to rely on him throwing the ball because their rushing attack was so dominant. When you got guys on the offensive line like Andrew Thomas, Isaiah Wilson, Solomon Kinley, who were all, I believe they were all first-round draft picks, if I'm not mistaken. If not,
I think you're right. No, I think you're right.
Except for Solomon Kinley. Solomon Kinley was drafted by the Dolphins, I think I want to say in the 3rd.
Georgia consistently
your favorite Dolphins pick.
Georgia consistently puts out first round picks on the O-line. They're one of the top O-line producing schools in the nation.
Yeah, I've always been happy with their O-line. But like with the Alabama game, it just proved what I thought to be like what I thought was going to happen at the beginning of the year. It was too much for Stetson Bennett. I said it when I watched one drive of him playing in the SEC championship against LSU, because Fromm went down. He had to sit out a drive, and he looked horrid. He looked scared. He looked like he didn't know what he was doing. Granted, he had not played all year, so I give him that. But it didn't look good. And then he came out against Auburn, who was ranked 7th at the time, and he played a phenomenal game. And I had some hope. But honestly, I'm not upset with the way that Georgia's defense played against Alabama. I know the numbers don't show it. But we were 1 or 2, again, may sound a little biased, questionable calls away from the game being completely different. I mean, there were some calls that were pretty egregious towards Georgia, because there was definitely some of that happening on Alabama's side, especially on defense, and it was not being called, and that's what was frustrating to me. But I was more frustrated with Stetson Bennett's play. And like I said previously, it happens every year. It's happened the past 3 times. We've outscored Alabama in the first half every game, and we've been outscored a horrible amount in the second half. They just need to get over that hump. Looking at their remaining schedule, they got Kentucky this week, and then that big game against Florida.
That will be the deciding factor. If Georgia loses against Florida,
they will not.
They won't make it in.
They won't even win the SEC East. They have to beat Florida in order to even have a chance. Because the way I see it, they have to win out, and then they have to.
I agree.
And then they have to beat Alabama. I said it earlier in the year, and I still stand by it. I said whoever was going to win this Alabama game, the other team would have to win if they met in the SEC championship, in order for them to both get in. Because I think Alabama, unless they lose a horrible game, which I don't see them looking at their schedule, they're in. even if they lose the SEC championship game, they're
I would
in.
agree. I would agree.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's just what it comes down to. It's been this way for the past 3 years that I've rooted for Georgia. They always lose a game, and it relies on the SEC championship for them to get in.
Which sometimes it works out.
Sometimes it works out, like 2016. I don't want to end.
We're not gonna talk about the end result of that game.
Well, no, we can, because it is 2 a time in Miami.
Which we'll get to.
In Miami.
We'll get to it.
I've never gone from hating to loving someone so quickly.
We will
It's
get
never
to
happened.
We will get to the mispronounced Tungavaloa later on.
Tagovailoa.
I don't know how to pronounce it. I never will.
I think it's Tagovailoa.
But I do want to say to the announcers who say Tungavailoa, you're saying it wrong.
Yeah,
I don't know how to say it, but you're definitely saying it wrong.
Where is the UNG in his name? I just want to know.
Tungavailoa, you're saying it wrong.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I had on Georgia.
Notre Dame is not going to be in this position.
I don't even want
to
to spend that much time on them.
We will, only because I think, and that's why I said UC's best chance if Notre Dame and Georgia loses. If Georgia loses to Florida and Notre Dame loses to Clemson and UNC, UC makes it in if they can do what I said they need to do. UC makes it in at number 4.
I don't know.
If I am remembering this correctly, if Notre Dame loses to Clemson, they will not even have a chance at the ACC title. Because they are on the same side.
They'll probably be Miami.
They're on the same side.
There's only one side of the ACC.
Oh, there is?
Yeah, I just looked it up.
Oh.
Yeah, because on ESPN they divide it up by conference. Well, they show the conference and they show the 2 divisions of the conference. ACC is just grouped up as one.
I do believe, though, that in the past they have been 2.
I think so.
Because Miami usually does not play Clemson during the regular season.
Yeah, I think it might be a COVID thing. Let me look last year.
Be.
You keep talking. Let me look last year.
I don't know, Emilio, if you had anything on Notre Dame. I've never been a fan of Notre Dame. I've never been a fan of any of their teams. They do the same thing every year. They win all the games they're supposed to, and then they have that one game, like I had talked about on a previous podcast episode. They have that one game that they need to win, and they don't because they just can't. Like a couple years ago I think it was last year. Last year was Georgia. The year before that, I want to say it was Georgia again. They just can never get over like that hump. And I think granted, this year, obviously they're in a conference, but in years past, not being in a conference has hurt them way more than
I genuinely don't understand whether or not it's probably some like very old historical like tradition thing, but why are they not in a conference? Like I actually don't know, and if one of you two could explain to me why, that would be a learning moment for me, because
you did hit on it. It is a historical thing, because I've got a buddy who's a big Notre Dame guy. And he's heard that after next year, if there's no like COVID, they're going to get out of the ACC and go back to being independent, because they like playing those historical games like against Stanford and USC. And I want to say it's Army. They usually always play Army because those games go back like decades and decades of them playing each other. But in years past, it has hurt them because they have not been like the USC and Stanford and Army have not been good. So they're expected to win those games. So it does nothing for them, like in terms of the college football playoffs.
Gotcha.
In the ACC is split up into the Atlantic and the Coastal.
Yeah.
But this year, my guess is they just combined it.
Yeah, I think just to accommodate Notre Dame.
Yeah, it was probably the easiest way.
Is there not an odd number of teams in the ACC now? With
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
There are 15. Yes. So yeah, that makes sense that they would combine them.
Yeah, even more of a reason to hate Notre Dame. Come on.
Like you
Come
know,
on, Notre Dame.
Emilio,
Emilio?
you wanna take it away?
At number 3, the Ohio State Buckeyes. We hit on it before. It was just like, yeah. But before we get into it, I just like want to hit on it again.
As a
good it was.
fan. As a fan.
How good it was to be able to watch them again. It felt so good to wake up on game day and to know that I was going to watch my boys in scarlet and gray. As far as gameplay goes, I'm not going to lie. That first drive by Nebraska was a little, I don't want to say concerning, but it was like, whoa, okay.
I was going to ask you about that.
They drove down the field, and I want to say 3 plays. And punched it in, and it was a combination of Martinez and McCaffrey
Little mini Chris.
a dual quarterback little thing. I never thought we were in danger of losing that game, but it was kind of. I will say that Ohio State was so dominant last year during the regular season. I mean, especially in the way that we opened up the season 2 with 2 just enormous wins. You almost expect every game to go out that way, and to see us kind of get punched in the mouth a little bit at first was a little bit eye opening, but at the end of the day, just the talent was too much. I mean, Justin Fields and Garrett or what's his name? Shoot,
Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson, yes. Chris Olave. The passing attack was just as good as it was last year, in my opinion. The one thing that I did want to hit on, and that I think Ohio State needs to look at to improve in order to improve our chances to be in that conversation for a lock for the college football playoff, is that our passing attack, or our ground attack, needs to be much better. Because, and when you think about it this way, I mean, last year we had one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the nation in Justin Fields, and then, in my opinion, a top 3 running back in the league in J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah.
So, to have those same expectations would be unrealistic. But I know that Justin Fields, and I don't have the numbers exactly, but I know that Justin Fields was our leading rusher.
He was. It was 15 carries for 54 yards.
Yeah, and while I know that college football is going in the direction of dual threat quarterbacks that can get out of the pocket, I have nothing against that. But I have always believed that if your quarterback is your leading rusher, that at first that leads you to become you're risking injuring, like I said, your greatest player in Justin Fields, and also it almost makes you become a little one-dimensional, because you know that you don't believe in handing the ball off to Master Teague or to Sermon, who we got as a graduate transfer out of Oklahoma. But that's the one thing that I think that needs to be improved on our offense. As far as our defense goes, I mean, we looked fine after that first drive. We got turnovers, we got stops when we needed them to. Last year, we certainly didn't play an offense, I think, in my opinion, that really put us on skates until that Clemson game.
Yeah.
So I don't really know how exactly. I mean, obviously losing Chase Young is tough. I mean, when you lose a generational talent like Chase Young, it's going to be tough. I mean, the return of Sean Wade was really helpful in our opinion, and then Jonathan Cooper on the D line, Tough Borland. Those guys returning on the defense was also big, but I think it was a very, very solid win to start the season. Again, just amazing to see them back, and I think Justin Fields did nothing to deter any doubt that he is going to be in the Heisman Trophy race for the majority, if not the entire college football season.
Heisman Trophy race and might make a push for the number 1 pick.
I still
see
think
there
it's going
being
to be
a
Trevor
case.
Lawrence, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about Justin Fields when we get to the NFL in New England. But yeah, I think he's the second best quarterback in this draft class, and I think he'll be the second quarterback off the board. Who knows at what pick? It'll depend on who has the pick, but I certainly think it's his.
I mean, it's going to be the Jets.
The second pick.
The second pick.
Because the first pick is going to be Trevor Lawrence, regardless of who has it, and it's going to be New York. So,
like what the Cowboys need to do is they need to get the second pick and then trade it and get somebody really good for it.
I do have a quick question for you, Emilio. If you had to choose by watching this game, do you think you would rather have Sermon or Master Teague take the majority of the carries? Because looking at the stats, they were pretty even. I mean, Sermon had 11 carries for 48 yards and Teague had 12 for 41.
I remember watching Master Teague last year, and this is a crazy stat. Last year, in one of our early games, I don't know if it was the UC game. It might have been the Indiana game where J.K. Dobbins had like 200 rush yards in 3 quarters.
Yeah,
we put Master Teague in for the majority of the fourth quarter, and he almost eclipsed like 150 rushing yards himself in 1 quarter.
Jeez.
I honestly don't know too much about Sermon. I know that all I know is that he came from Oklahoma, and I'm sure he was a very good player in order to attend University of Oklahoma to play football. But I don't know. I would not be opposed to even a running back by committee this year, but it would certainly be a shift from last year where it was J.K. Dobbins and then everyone else. But I wouldn't be opposed to see even both of them. I don't know the strengths and weaknesses of Sermon. I know that Master Teague is not the best out of the backfield. He's certainly more of a between the tackles type running back.
Yeah.
Hand it off 3-4 yards, cloud of dust. But I don't know. We'll have to see. I want to see them try to integrate Sermon more into the offense because that's just another weapon that Justin Fields can have out of the backfield. But up to this point, I don't know yet.
Fair enough.
On to the number 2 team, but my number 1 team, the Alabama Crimson Tide.
But your number 1 team, is that what you said?
Yes, it is what I said, Mr. Laura. My number 1 team.
The only argument I can say to that is until Clemson loses, they're not losing that spot.
The only argument I can make against that is that Clemson has like virtually nobody on their schedule. Notre Dame is a big game. Miami was an okay game. But other than that, Alabama has been winning very good games.
I mean, they beat their biggest win as a Georgia team. Like Georgia is Georgia.
Alabama has played A&M, who was ranked, Georgia, who was ranked, and then they've beaten the brakes off of everybody. But here's the thing, though. Those 2 ranked teams that they played, they beat the brakes off the ranked teams. Alabama looks like a complete football team. And not saying Clemson doesn't, but I think if I were to put them up against each other in my head, I think Alabama comes out on top of that 9 times out of 10. Personally.
I don't necessarily disagree with that. My only thing I would say was just like Zach said, until Clemson loses. But that'd be, and then I guess the counter argument to that argument would be, well, who is Clemson going to lose? I mean, if Clemson loses any game, I think they're gonna drop to, I would say, 3. I would say 3 or 4, maybe even.
Alabama could lose a game and still be at number 2.
Well, no, the Ohio State would jump them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, probably. Yeah.
If Alabama loses, I would not be surprised if Ohio State wins big this week that they put Ohio State at 2. I really wouldn't be that surprised.
We'll have to see.
I mean,
We
I
shall
love
see.
Ohio State, but I think Alabama's the best out of
I
the
mean,
top four teams. I think
just
Ohio
the,
State or Alabama's the best.
just the trends that I've seen from the AP committee and with Ohio State, they are very favorable towards them. And I'm not
Fair.
saying that in a bad way, but I'm just saying that's how it has been trending. And so that's the only reason I see like it as a possibility.
Yeah.
Because-
Let's just tie in Clemson and Alabama talk here.
I did want to talk about Trevor Lawrence because I saw something interesting. I think it was on First Take, and everybody, like every analyst, every person I've seen is saying that Trevor Lawrence needs to, except for one guy, can't remember his name, is saying that Trevor Lawrence needs to go back to Clemson for his senior year. Or
If the Jet, I mean, when the Jets get the first pick,
if the Jets have the first pick,
they will ruin that kid's career.
Or he needs to pull an Eli Manning and
demand a trade.
I have seen that, yeah.
Because there was one guy that said there's nothing more that Clemson can do for him except for hurt him. In a sense, as to like if he goes back and gets injured.
Yeah.
Like
that, which is true.
But I mean, in all fairness, I would never ever want to play for that Jets organization.
Especially now that they're just unloading.
Until they clean house. They have to clean house starting from the top.
Yes. The GM has to
go.
GM owner needs to sell the team.
Honestly, I mean they're running that
organization to the ground.
Into the ground. Yes, exactly.
To the ground and then some. Like they might be in the middle of the earth by now.
They did shout out the Dolphins on First Take because they straight up said like even last year, like after they went 0-7 and then they had that late game like stretch, they asked, would you want to play for the Miami Dolphins? And everybody was like, yeah, like I would want to play for that organization. I would want to play for Brian Flores and Chris Greer, their GM.
I mean, we've said this on this podcast before, but Brian Flores is one of the best coaches in the NFL.
Thank you, Emilio, for him. Say that.
Oh yeah, he was a Bill Belichick product.
He has done a phenomenal job. I could not be happier with him. I could not be happier with Chris Greer.
That you got rid of Gase.
That we got rid of Gase.
Was there an in-between Gase and Flores?
It was an interim, and I can't remember who it was. But he has done like he turned the team around last year, the second half of the year, with little to no talent at all.
Yeah, Xavier Howard is by far the best player on that team.
Yes, he is. And I did have a mini heart attack, seeing like that he was potentially like
on the trading block,
shopped, but that was debunked pretty quickly. It was just a misreport by some of the beat reporters that covered the Dolphins.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, ESPN had him ranked as the number 3 cornerback duo in the NFL. Him and Byron Jones.
It goes to show how like what a good head coach and GM combination can do to a bad team. Because I mean, talent wise, like last year's Dolphins versus this year's Jets, I don't think there is that big. I would still say that the Jets or the Dolphins were more talented last year, but I don't think that the gap was that big. But it just goes to show what a good coach like Brian Flores and a good GM can do to a perennially bad franchise.
Well, and it shows what a bad coach can do to ruin a kid's career. Taking this back to the Trevor Lawrence thing.
Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill was poo-poo with Adam Gase. Now, by no means do I expect Adam Gase to still be with. If Adam Gase is still with the Jets next season, I think all of their fans don't show up to the games. It'll look like a COVID season, even though it's not.
It'll just be a disgrace. Like I said,
there's no chance.
Under what circumstances do you defend them keeping a coach like Adam Gase?
Under what circumstances does he still have a job right now?
They're
Like
tanking.
that's what blows my mind.
They're tanking right now. So like,
I know, but you have to give your fans some sort of hope.
I think that hope is going to come in the offseason when they draft Trevor Lawrence.
But your best thing you could do for your fans right now is to give them a win off the field and get fucking rid of Adam Gase because he is ruining all that whole fan base. Jets fans are turning away really quick. Now,
were there many to begin with?
Oh yeah,
there were more than I thought, and honestly, I personally don't know what Jets fans, but like when you go on like social media and you see like, you know, obviously football doesn't have as big of a presence in the city of New York like basketball does, but I mean, people still like they still want to see a good product on the field, and you know, I'm a Patriots fan, like, and Zach's a Dolphins fan. Where we face the Dolphins twice a year, every year. We will never roof them in any sense of the way. But at the same time, it's frustrating as a football fan to see a team like the Jets be so bad, like for like so many years in a row. You're putting a bad product on the field. You're frustrating your fan base. Like you're making the like. It's more fun when the games are competitive because you know as like it's I just don't understand what the Jets franchise is doing. Like they're thinking and they're doing it like so wrong.
Yeah, because the way we're getting way off topic. We can honestly just I mean, we pretty much
we will transition into it momentarily. Let's tie it back into Trevor Lawrence and then we'll transition.
I don't even want to, I was gonna say. So that's it for college football.
Trevor Lawrence needs to find a reason to not go to the Jets.
Yes.
That is the end of the college football segment.
That is college football. But what I was gonna say is the way the Dolphins tanked, it sort of looked like they weren't even tanking. Like at the beginning of the year, yeah, they got blown out the first 2 games.
But those are kind of expected. It was the Ravens and the Patriots, right?
Yeah. Yep. But then they started slowly getting more competitive, and they started like Flores started getting that team excited to play football every week. And Fitzpatrick was a huge part of that, and I will forever be grateful that that man was on our team.
Yeah, I felt so bad for him.
I do feel bad for him.
And but Zach, I know you're going to hate me for saying this, but he needs to get traded somewhere else.
He does, but because he is the way he was playing this year, he's a legitimate starter in this league right now.
Send him to Dallas.
No. No. Anybody but Dallas.
No, send him to Dallas. Let him have amazing offensive weapons and see what he can do.
I'll send him to Dallas for Zeke.
That's not happening.
Anyway, Flores got the team excited to play. They got a little groove going, got to, I believe, 5 wins, and were still able to get the 5 pick and get their guy that they had wanted. They made all the right moves to get I think they had 14 draft picks, and we've got
they were loaded.
And we've got 2 first rounders and 2 second rounders, thanks to the Texans, who are looking like they're going to get us a top 5 pick right now. Yeah. And the most important thing is that he got free agents interested and bought into to buy into what they're trying to do in Miami.
That is true.
Byron Jones to a big 5-year deal. Kyle Van Noy was a good pickup. He's been hurt the last couple weeks. Kyle Van Noy has been a big pickup. We got him for 3 years. We've got Eric Flowers for 3 years. Shaq Lawson, Emmanuel Agba, all like good, solid football players. And we filled the holes that we needed in free agency and in the draft. And I know we're only 3-3, but it has helped immensely. And like Emilio said when he was on here last time, I think they're a year off from being a legit playoff contender.
They might be able to do it this year.
They could possibly
able to sneak into the 7.
They could possibly sneak into the 7.
There's been a big power shift in the AFC East, and we'll get to that soon enough.
with that being said, I think it's time that we move into our rankings.
I agree.
No, it's not.
Oh, my bad.
It's not.
I thought we were doing this when we got to. Do we all have them?
Okay, yeah.
in the
We'll do
same
it when
spot?
we get there. We'll do it when we get there. We'll do it when we get there.
We all have
we'll do it
them
when we get there.
relatively high.
We'll do it when we get there.
We'll have them
Everybody who's listening and who's been listening to the podcast knows what's coming up, but we'll get to it when we get there. All right.
So
We'll start 32 to 26. Zach, go.
Okay. Coming in at 32, I think we all know who it is.
All right,
I'm
31.
I'm not even going to say their names.
31.
31. We've got, what was that?
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, how much bad can we talk about one team consecutively?
Yeah, no, we already did our number on them.
Yeah, we did.
We've said enough.
They're actually not even on the list of NFL teams anymore. There's only 31 NFL teams in the league now.
I can agree with that.
So starting with 31, we've got the New York Giants. 30, we've got the Jaguars. 29, I've got the football team. 28, I've got the Bengals. 27, I've got the Cowboys. And 26, I have the Vikings.
You got the Vikings kind of low.
I had them low last week.
I have the Vikings significantly higher than you do. Emilio?
32 again, like we said. Don't need to waste our breath. New York Football Giants at 31. Dallas Cowboys at number 30. My God. 29. I had the Washington Football Team. Remind me again what number we're stopping.
26.
26. Okay, so 29 Washington Football Team. 28 Jacksonville Jaguars. 27 the Cincinnati Bengals, and the 26 the Atlanta Falcons.
All right. Number 31, I have the New York Giants. Number 30, can you imagine having two teams in a division that are 31 and 30? Not the Cowboys. It's just only one team in that division made it into my next level. And that's the Eagles.
The Cowboys became sellers so fast. I would even say, as gruesome and as horrible as Dak Prescott's injury was, I would still say that even when they had Andy Dalton, they had just a shimmer of hope, because Andy Dalton is a veteran starting quarterback in the league.
Now they got Gucci.
Now they got Ben Gucci DiNucci.
They got Gucci Manucci ready to go. Cowboys at 30.
You didn't say his name right once.
What's his name?
DiNucci.
No, they got Gucci. Okay, the football team. No. The New York Giants at 31, Cowboys at 30, the Jaguars at 29, the Falcons at 28. Emilio, close your ears. The Patriots.
Just say it, because I'm gonna say my piece to them. I'm gonna say my piece about them.
The Patriots at 27 and the football team at 26.
I am numb to pain at this point.
he's Michael Scott. I am ready to get hurt again.
Not just I'm ready to get hurt. I don't even care.
All right. We'll go ahead and jump into the next section so you can get to your talking.
Okay.
Zach, go ahead. You first.
Yeah, 25. We got the Falcons. 24. I've got the Chargers. 23 Eagles. 22 Texans. 21 Patriots. 20 Broncos. 19 Lions. And 18 Panthers.
Emilio.
Bill Belichick, Nick Cassero, Robert Kraft. Listen to me. When I moved to the United States when I was 3 years old, I had zero idea of what American football was. I had no idea about the concept. And at the speed that I caught up to just how much of a tradition this sport is in American culture, and to be blessed to have the New England Patriots be the first team that I ever watched on national television. Coincidentally, being the 2007 Super Bowl when we lost to the New York Football Giants to throw away our would-be perfect season. The Patriots have been tied in to my mood every week, every Sunday.
I can agree with that with my
They
team.
have been tied into what I consider a good year in general. When I say it's been a good or bad year, I usually mention how the Patriots did in the offseason.
I can agree with that.
And you know what? It's almost been kind of like my lifetime. 0 to 20 years. The Patriots have been good for that long since I was born. But last Sunday's performance against the San Francisco 49ers, the complete and utter annihilation of our team on all three phases, at home, with Cam Newton back, with Stephon Gilmore back. It's time to sell. It is time to unload. It is time to say thank you to Stephon Gilmore and ship him away for a draft pick. It is time to say thank you, Cam Newton, but not this year. It is time to bench him. It is time to start Jarrett Stidham for the rest of the year, and hopefully get us a top draft pick in which we can evaluate in what direction we're going to go to, and in which direction we're going to go in the future.
Which direction would you like that to be, Emilio?
I don't know. I think that's what makes it hurt the most, because we're in such a area of uncertainty.
This is such a new thing for you.
It really is, and I'm dealing with it really week to week. And I know that this is probably Devin McCourty's last year. This is probably James White's last year. This is probably a lot of our offensive lines last year. I don't know. I think that the best course of action moving forward is to just sell, be sellers at the trade deadline, give away everybody that is worth something at this point. If a team calls about Cam Newton, honestly, I wouldn't even be opposed to see what teams are willing to offer for Cam Newton at this point.
As the GM of the Pittsburgh Steelers, I would like to offer you our first round, our third round, and our seventh round for Stephon Gilmore.
I don't know. We'll see. But I mean, bottom line is it's been a massive shift downwards from where I had them a couple weeks ago when I was on the podcast for the first time to now. We've dropped multiple games, and in very, very ugly fashion. And
last week wasn't good either.
And I think that at this point, it is time to say goodbye to the incredible run that we've had in our division and in our conference. But I don't see us realistically even getting the 7th seed at this point anymore.
Let's just say Emilio's phone background is now Justin Fields in a Patriots jersey.
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
No, he just put his girlfriend in a Patriots jersey, and on the back it says Fields. That's what he did for that picture. So Emilio, you have the Patriots at 25.
I have the Patriots at 25. I have the Minnesota Vikings at 24. Remind me again what number we're going to. No, I keep forgetting.
18.
New England Patriots 25. Minnesota Vikings 24. Denver Broncos 23. Houston Texans 22. 21. Philly Eagles 20. Number 20. And I think that this might be a surprise for you guys, but they've been trending upwards recently. Is the Detroit Lions.
I've got them right around there.
Yeah, I've got them at 19.
19, I have the Miami Dolphins. And at 18, I have the Carolina Panthers.
Okay.
We had the same. We had the same number 18.
25, I have the Denver Broncos. 24, I have the Cincinnati Bengals. 23, I have the Houston Texans. 22, I have the Carolina Panthers. Like you, Emilio, I have the or not. It's not the same, but it's pretty close. The Lions at 21. The Eagles at 20. Even though they really shouldn't be, but technically, since they're leading the division, I'll give them a little bit of an edge. But whatever. They're the lowest division leader on this list. Eagles at 20, the Vikings at 19, and the Chargers at 18.
Why do you consistently like overhype the Vikings?
Here's the thing. I saw a couple things, and Aaron Rodgers defended this today. People are saying Mike Zimmer is on the hot seat. Mike Zimmer is a amazing coach. He's a very good coach, and I think the Vikings are really good if in the right circumstance. Now this year is very weird, and a lot of people are out for different reasons, but I think the Vikings have the talent to be higher and to be better, but yeah, it's just not this year.
I've seen what was it, Uzak that said that they were shopping Adam Thielen. It was you, right? Because it was
They're looking for the Browns, maybe
potentially to Cleveland. I don't know. The Vikings have just like I just don't even like. Could you imagine what they could have done all those couple years ago with the offense that they had, with the defense that they had, if they had anybody but Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, they
that
didn't
quarterback.
spend a ridiculous
That
amount
is
of money
fair.
on
That
Kirk
is
Cousins.
a fair assessment.
Zach, number 17.
17, I've got the 49ers. 16, I've got the Dolphins.
Timeout. Excuse me?
What are you? What?
49ers at 17?
I have them
yeah.
higher than that. I have them higher than that.
Where did you have them?
I had them. Let me check real quick. I had them at 17.
That's where Zach.
Yeah, that's where I have them.
Oh.
17. 16 Miami Dolphins, 15 Bears, 14 Raiders, 13 Colts, 12 Browns, and 11, who I moved out of my top 10 this week, the Buffalo Bills.
I did as well. Actually, they've been at number 11 for me for 2 weeks, but Emilio.
So 17 through 11.
And we'll talk about your guys.
The San Francisco 49ers at 17. 16, I have the Los Angeles Chargers. 15, the Indianapolis Colts. 14, Big Cat's Chicago Bears. Sorry, Big Cat, about their performance. 13, the Las Vegas Raiders. 12, the Cleveland Browns. And at 11, I have New Orleans Saints.
Fair.
I have the Bears at 17, the Dolphins at 16.
Thank you.
The Raiders at 15, the Browns at 14. Now remember, I had the Browns at 18 last week, so
You did.
the Colts at 13, the 49ers at 12, and the Bills at 11. What did you guys see from the 49ers that you didn't like to put them at 17?
I mean, you've been big on the philosophy that you can't put people ahead of people that they've beaten. So that's
the Patriots are bad, dog. Like, they beat us, but we're bad. We're bad. That is why I didn't put them higher, because I was like, we're a bad team. We're a bad football team.
Here's the thing. Yeah, but I use this term a lot today, but they beat the brakes off of the Patriots. Like I don't think the Patriots have lost that bad in a while. Now they're not a good football team, but when was the last time the Patriots in Foxborough lost that bad?
In Foxborough?
Foxborough.
Yeah, but I think it's the first time that they've lost like by this amount of however.
It is our largest deficit at home in the Bill Belichick era. The closest the closest I can remember to feeling like this about this game was when we lost on that Monday night against the Chiefs
a couple years ago.
As far as I mean, we've lost some big games at home. I mean, last year we lost to the Dolphins at home, the very last game of the season. But I mean, that wasn't necessarily like a drubbing. That was a surprise win. Like, from beginning to end, we were outplayed on all three phases, and we're kind of getting on topic once again. But I will
We're
just
not,
say,
though, 'cause yeah.
all I want to say is that the while I think this is a couple games now that the 49ers have won, because they beat Los Angeles
They
2 weeks
beat the
ago, right?
Rams. Yeah, they
Yeah.
beat the Rams very convincingly. I mean, it was
Not
24 to 16, but the 49ers definitely played better. The 49ers have been getting healthier, and they've been playing better.
For sure.
This week will be their test. But these next 3 weeks will be their test. They've got the Seahawks, the Packers, and the Saints up next.
Oh,
They-
dude.
They've actually, okay, they have the Seahawks, the Packers, the Saints, the Rams, and the Bills.
Dear Lord.
They've got some tough games coming up. So we'll really see what the 49ers are made of. But yeah, if they can win some of these games, they're getting healthy again. Kittle's playing very well. Jimmy G, I mean, he's not been horrible. But
I just couldn't put them higher, mainly because they beat a bad football team. And like you said, this upcoming stretch will define their season for all
1,000%.
intents and purposes.
They will not win all of those games, but if they win a couple,
But at this one, I couldn't put them higher than, say, like, I don't know, who'd I have at 16? I had
the
the Los Angeles Chargers at
Okay.
16. I think
That's
that if they played a good Los Angeles Chargers team with Justin Herbert,
Herbert's
I
playing
think
very
that
well.
I think
Very
that it
well.
would be a much closer game than a fucking 33. Oh god, don't even.
All right. Moving into our top 10s. Zach, who do you have at number 10?
Actually, I just have one more quick thing.
Okay, go for it.
I just want you to, since I'm doing what you wanted me to do for you, I need you to do something for me. I need you to congratulate Baker Mayfield on being named AFC Offensive Player of the Week.
It's only fair, Sam.
If you can't do this, I'm not doing your thing.
Baker Mayfield played very well against the Bengals.
That's not what I asked, though.
I would like to congratulate Baker Mayfield on throwing 5 touchdowns and playing much better than I expected him to play. And winning the AFC Player of the Week.
Offensive Player of the Week. But yeah, I'll take
Offensive Player of the Week.
I'll take it.
Baker Mayfield, you played very well, but we're in the cycle now. Baker Mayfield played a good game, which means he's going to get overhyped this week, which means they're going to get smacked by the Raiders.
Yeah,
We shall see.
But weird stat: Baker Mayfield actually plays better without Odell.
Without Odell by
I saw that like his QBR versus when Odell
it's
is
by
on.
It's by like a considerable margin.
Yeah, like that's so weird.
It's noticeable. It's very noticeable. But are we doing are we each naming our 10, 9, 8?
We'll go down.
Okay. So at 10, actually, let me switch this real quick. At 10, I'm going to put the Saints. They're just. I mean, they beat the Panthers, but they're just kind of eh.
Yeah, they're eh, but they're deserving of top 10.
Yes, so they're at 10.
Emilio?
At number 10, I have the Arizona Cardinals.
See, that's who I just switched.
To number 9?
No.
Oh, okay.
I moved him up a couple spots, but that's who I originally had at 10.
I also have the New Orleans Saints at number 10.
Okay.
I can agree with that. They're just good enough to be in the top 10. They need to figure out what the hell's going on with Michael Thomas. But
yeah,
turning into Antonio Brown.
I've heard he is very much on the trade block apparently, according to multiple sources.
Slant boy.
He's the one OSU product that I have no problem slandering because, yikes.
Slant boy.
Right,
number 9, Zach Laura.
I've got the Rams.
The Rams? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that up or down from where you had them last week?
I want to say it's right. I think my 10 and 9 are the same.
Okay.
I believe.
Emilio, you're number 9?
Mine is also the Los Angeles Rams.
Hey, we've got a couple same teams on here.
You guys are on the same wavelength. I've got the Baltimore Ravens.
Wow.
because
I got them low, but I don't have them that low.
It's to be expected, yeah.
they've been playing well. They're winning games. They're 5-1. They've got a tough matchup this week. We'll talk about it later. But they just haven't wowed me like they did last year. Like last year, they wowed me. Like
Lamar
I was
Jackson
like,
is eh.
I was like, shit. We have zero chance, especially without Ben, to win this. This year they scare me, but not as much. And
Fair.
we'll get to that. We'll get to
Fair.
that. Zach, Laura, you're number 8.
Cardinals.
Cardinals.
Yeah.
Reasons for them. So you just moved them. Why did you move them?
I guess I didn't really put it didn't really cross my mind until we just got closer. But they looked so good. Not the defense so much, but Kyler Murray and DeAndre.
But I mean, that Seahawks
are-
offense is hard to stop.
Yeah. But Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins are slowly turning into one of the best quarterback wide receiver duos in the NFL.
I think they are close.
I 1,000% agree with that, and I'll even Sam and I kind of talked about it. Kyler Murray is an extremely dangerous offensive threat, both passing and running the ball, and he's so inefficient. He's putting up these numbers and he's playing this well, and he's like consistently like his completion percentage is in like the high 50s, like on a good day.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like maybe it's the fact that it's just the second year, and like he plays really fast too. I think that's something else that maybe has something to do with it. He seems to be like always just in a rush, but I think that if at any point Kyler Murray is able to set his feet, play calm and cool under the pocket, but still be that lethal dual threat that he is with his arms and his legs. I mean, I wasn't a fan of when Arizona drafted Josh Rosen and then drafted Kyler Murray the next year. But I think at this point, it's looking like a genius move.
It was a genius move.
It was the best move they could have made.
Especially with Cliff Kingsbury's offense. Like, that's what he was made for.
I think they're poised to go off these next couple of years. I just mark it right here. I could see a dynasty starting to form. The small with the pieces they're going out and grabbing and surrounding Kyler with the people he needs to be successful. I can see a dynasty starting to form. A small little dynasty with a young coach. I've got a little hint of dynasty in my mouth right now.
About dynasty, but I think Kyler Murray is going to be a perennial Pro Bowl or maybe All Pro. Could be in the MVP race in a couple of years. He plays so much like a young Russell Wilson, in my opinion. When he's on one, and I just think that like it's scary to think how good that him and D Hop can be together in the future.
Yeah,
it's interesting for sure.
So who's your guys number 8?
I have the Rams at number 8, which is actually technically down a spot from where I had them last week at number 7, but there's reasons.
I have the Buffalo Bills, even though they didn't play very good against the team that we will not name.
The team with no name.
Yeah, oh God. Just like Josh Allen needs to, and I have them at number 8. They won 18-10. I have them at number 8, and I'm gonna kind of slander them a little. So just bear with me here. Kyle Allen needs to get it together. I think they didn't score a single touchdown this game. I don't think. Right? Is that correct? They had 6 field goals. They won 18-10.
Yeah. No.
They beat the Jets. They beat a team that they should have.
Barely.
Too good for a while.
The Jets had a lead for a while.
It really wasn't, and I mean, they're still. I think. I mean, they lost to the Chiefs, which was a big test, and they got absolutely smoked by the Titans. So they're not necessarily in that upper echelon of AFC East teams, but I still think that they are one of the definitely top 10 teams in the NFL when their defense is clicking, when Kyle Allen isn't playing like a undrafted rookie. I think that they
You
are.
mean Josh Allen. You said Kyle Allen.
Yeah, why do you keep
You
saying
said
Kyle Allen?
You mean Josh
Josh
Allen?
Allen. So sorry.
He's playing like Kyle Allen.
You just slander Josh Allen.
He's
He's
playing like Kyle Allen.
like Kyle Allen. Yeah, but they are on a downward trend, I would say. But I mean, they're playing us next week, and I can't think of a better way to
Changing of the guard.
get back on track and changing of the guard. Yes, than to beat the brakes off the Patriots on a Sunday. But
What did the Bills do against the Patriots last year? Was it split or did the Patriots win both games?
I believe we won both games. Let me check here because we split the Miami games and I think we won both.
You very
won both
commonly
the
split the Miami
New
games.
York games. Yeah.
It seems to work out that way. I don't really know why. It just does.
So it looks like it's going to be good for you at the end of the season, Zach.
I hope. God, I hope. No, I mean, I'm so excited to watch Tua play. I didn't even get a chance to talk about that. I'm so excited to see him play.
It'll be fun for you. It'll be a good experience.
It is this hopefully the start of a new generation. A new
no better way than the Patriots no longer being good.
Yeah, he broke my heart in 2016. Let's hope he can make up for it here in 2020.
All right. Number 7.
That's where I have the Ravens.
The Ravens? Okay.
Basically for the same reasons that you had.
You just think the teams that you put above them are just a little bit better or a little bit worse.
Yeah.
Emilio?
Zach, this is really strange, dog. I have them at 7 too. This is really weird.
We're on it. We're on it today.
This is really weird. I also have them at 7. Oh well, we'll have to see how they play against one of the top teams in the NFL. They're 5-1. They haven't played exceptionally well. They haven't played exceptionally poor. They're just kind of meandering there in the top 10 little meh thing.
It all depends on Lamar Jackson. If he can pick it up a little bit, then we'll have some things to talk about.
We will, but we'll see. We'll see how they play against an elite defense.
Number 7.
You mean 6?
No, I haven't said my number 7 yet.
Oh shit, yeah.
Because you definitely would have reacted if I said it. It's the Tennessee Titans.
Man, I knew you were gonna do it.
And it's because I think every single team above that I have here, only 2 of them are AFC, but I think every single team I have above them would beat them.
Fair enough.
I won't say too much on their first loss to a team we'll talk about later on.
Yeah, we can actually talk about it right now because that's where I have the Steelers at number 6.
Let's talk about them when Sam gets to them because.
Wait a minute! You're physically. Okay.
I am actually joking. I don't have
it. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Just after you took the shot. After you took the shot at the Titans, after you took that shot, I had to.
Oh, Zach, I almost drove to Dayton and beat your ass.
Good thing I'm
my god.
Good thing I'm
Oh my god. All right. Even closer. Number 6, Zach.
I have the Packers at number 6.
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, they just the beatdown they took from the Buccaneers still with me.
Yeah.
Honestly, I couldn't even tell you who they played this week. I can't even remember.
The Packers, they played the Texans.
Oh, yeah. And they put a beat down on them, which was expected. So, yeah, that's why I have them at 6.
Yep. Emilio?
Number 6, I have the Tennessee Titans. Lost to a very good football team by they were losing
We'll
to
talk
a
about
very
it. We'll
good
talk
football
about it. We'll
team
talk about it. We'll talk about
in
it.
the first half.
talk
That's
about
why I haven't named them yet.
We'll talk about it.
They lost to a very good football team in the first half. They almost came back in the second half. I still think that they have a top 3 MVP candidate in Derrick Henry, who's still playing out of his mind.
Agree. He would be my number 2 MVP candidate behind Russell Wilson.
I don't know. I remember reading a what you call it, an article on the Tennessee Titans. I couldn't think of the word, and like talking about how it's a very real thing now that we have to recognize them as a top team in the not just the AFC in the NFL. And I was reading why it's so hard for some people to do that, and I think it's I think Zach alluded to it with something else that he said about. Well, no, not really. He said about the Tampa Bay kind of lingering, but I think that the Jeff Fisher must that is still kind of on the Tennessee Titans of just thinking that they're just so perennially they were so like average for so many years. That is to no discredit that obviously they
Vrabel is one of
they
the best
are
coaches in the league.
leagues ahead of where they were during those years. It's just like I don't know, like it just sounds weird to say the Tennessee Titans are one of the best teams in the
Super
NFL.
Bowl contending Tennessee Titans.
Right. Like that we have to recognize that. And for some people that they're just like, huh?
They almost made it last year.
They did. They went on that incredible playoff run.
My number 6 is the Arizona Cardinals.
I figured that's where you had them.
Cardinals, I had them at number 9 last week. They showed up against a team that they needed to beat. And Kyler performed perfectly. He had a couple errors. He wasn't throwing insanely well, but Kyler Murray is going to win league MVP in the near future. Without question.
I almost wonder how Russell Wilson feels with watching what is like genuinely a younger version of him.
It really is.
In the
Younger and
division.
slightly shorter.
Yes. Like must be kind of weird, don't you think?
Yeah. It's got to be haunting to see somebody who resembles him so much try to come take his spot in that division. Zach, you were number 5.
Number 5 is where I have the Tennessee Titans.
Tennessee Titans. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
I'm still a believer. They're literally, I mean, they've had kicking trouble all year, so honestly, not surprised that he missed that field goal.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll talk about it more, but I'm still a believer.
Emilio, number 5.
I have the Seattle Seahawks at number 5.
How big of a drop is that for them for you?
From the last time I was on this podcast, it's actually not that big of a drop. It's a 1-spot drop. I had them at number 4 last time. I think that they just added Carlos Dunlap today, right?
Yes, they did. That's an improvement.
They desperately need any help that they can get, and you know what? This is going to make me freaking depressed again. But I have seen. I think Sam, you were the one that told me that potential trades from bad teams to contenders with Stephon Gilmore to Seattle. They need help on defense because that offense is too good to like. They really need to make a run this year because while Russell Wilson is playing at an MVP level without question, who knows how many years he has left playing at that level? And this is one of the best offenses I think he's ever worked with.
Without question.
And
he's been very reliant on his defenses before.
They cannot waste this opportunity to make a run in the NFC because I want to believe that he has many, many years left. You just never know in the NFL. And so when you have this much talent, on one side of the ball, you need to capitalize, especially if it's on the offensive end.
I agree. I have the Packers at number 5, just because they had a very good win. I still have that taste of the Buccaneers loss. I agree with Zach. It's hard to overlook that, but I still think the Packers are a top 5 team without question. Zach, number 4.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I can see it. Tom Brady is
As much as I hate
playing.
to say it, Tom Brady is playing really well.
Wow. We got him to say it, Emilio.
That's not something that I thought you were going to say.
That's a big step for you, Zach. I'm proud of you.
I mean, it's 2 weeks in a row now. He's played well.
Against relatively decent teams. A really good team, and then a decent team.
Yeah. He played well. I'll give him that. He's definitely proving that he does not need Belichick as much as people thought. I don't know why I'm saying this right now, but I am.
I love to hear it. I
everything you
love
believe.
to hear it.
Because I mean, Emilio at the end of the day is still a Tom Brady fan. I think if he make the Super Bowl, I will still root for him.
Always. Oh my God, without question, I will always root for my boy.
Yeah, I still won't call him the greatest quarterback of all time because I don't truly believe that. From a skill standpoint, maybe from an accolade standpoint, kind of like a Jordan LeBron situation for me. I mean, I don't look as much at the rings as I do other things, intangibles, but yeah, he's playing well, so that's why I have him at 4.
Emilio?
Number 4, I have the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers came back and played very well after a very poor performance against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That defense needs to play a little better. I think I saw Zadarius Smith at one point leave the game.
Yeah,
with an injury. Don't know what that's about, but hopefully he's back. Still so mad that Aaron Jones decided to not play last night. I lost to Nick in fantasy by 1 point.
Because Aaron Jones didn't start. So you would have easily won.
I would have. Aaron Jones got me more than 1 point.
My number 4 is the Seahawks. So
okay,
not too big of a dip.
Okay.
One drop down from what I had last week, but I think they're still better than the Cardinals.
Yeah. We want to lead into that. I have the Seahawks at 3.
Seahawks at 3.
That 1-2 punch with Wilson and Lockett, and then you got Metcalf. I mean, it's just that offense.
Oh my God. Okay, yeah. Keep going.
They're gonna have to outscore. I think I know what you're gonna talk about, but they're like teams are gonna have to outscore them, and with their defense, it hasn't proven to be too hard.
We forgot to talk about their best defensive player, DK Metcalf.
I wanted to talk about that. Oh my God.
We forgot to talk about their best defensive player.
That play is...
That's one of the greatest plays of athleticism I've ever seen.
It's just utterly horrifying to think that there are human beings on this earth that are that athletic.
That big, that menacing, and that fast.
Like you're telling out at 22.94 miles per hour.
If I'm in a zombie apocalypse, I want to hop on DK Metcalf's back and just let him run.
Just imagine, I don't even know if it's possible for DK Metcalf to become a zombie, because you imagine DK Metcalf just sprinting at you full. That stuff is nightmare fuel, dog. Like that
staring DK Metcalf down.
No thanks. But yeah, I mean, honestly, that was his best play of the game. Honestly, I don't even think he had that.
He didn't really have that many receiving yards. No, that was his highlight of the game. Because it was all Tyler Lockett.
Well, he would have had the game-winning touchdown if it wasn't called back on a.
Oh yeah.
I want to say it was like a chop block. Or like
it might have been
legal low block or something stupid like that. But yeah, moving on to my. Oh wait, what are your guys' number 3s?
Oh, I have the Buccaneers.
I also have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
All right.
Can I move into what?
Because we have 2 teams left, and I think we all have them at number 2 and number 1.
I think we do too. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce representing the only undefeated team left in the league, thanks to Steven Gostkowski, representing the Pittsburgh Steelers, Samuel P. George. Take it away.
Woo! Woo! Yeah! Oh, quiet down, quiet down, quiet down, quiet down, quiet down, quiet down. All right. First of all, I really want to give a shout out. You guys can't see me because we're not being recorded, but I am addressing the audience. I want to give a shout out to Steven Gostkowski. He started off the year, he missed like 5 field goals against the Broncos, but he made the game winner. Then he goes on to, I don't think, miss a single field goal since then. He saved us the game. He really did. A game that I was almost for sure we were going to lose.
Can I just say real quick that I hate you, Steven Gostkowski? I hate you so much.
I have.
Steven, bro, the only thing I have to say is thank you for saving your late game debacles to after your out of New England.
after your Patriots career.
I hate you so much. I hope you burn.
Whoa, hey. Steven Gostkowski is a savior, and I don't know why you would disrespect the best kicker in the league like that.
For missing?
Fat Randy.
Yes. Fat Randy is one of the best kickers in the league. I can agree. But I don't know why you would disrespect him like that.
Because he has led me to have to listen to you talk for
about another 10 minutes.
3 days straight. 10 minutes?
I got a little bit I need to talk about.
Yeah, okay. We're gonna we have to skip our picks for this week because
we're not gonna skip the picks.
This has succeeded like almost 2.5 hours.
This is going to be the first episode that will be uploaded directly to Spotify and Amazon and Apple Podcasts.
Yeah,
it will be the special.
We just can't get it to 3 hours. Not until we get.
We won't get to 3 hours. We won't.
Not until we get a bigger following.
Not until we get a sponsorship. I need to do some soul searching here.
Yeah, you've earned it.
Actually, I'm trying to do something real quick. Can you guys give your thoughts on the Steelers first? You guys give your thoughts on the Steelers first. I'm trying to do something real quick. I should have done this before the podcast, but you guys go ahead.
Zach, thoughts?
Give your thoughts on the Steelers.
On the Steelers?
Yes.
Okay.
I should give your thoughts on your. Let's just go number 2, number 1.
Yeah. You guys do Chiefs. You guys do Chiefs Steelers. I need to prepare something.
Okay. Yeah, I have Steelers at 2 and Chiefs at 1.
Okay. We all 3 of us do, by the way.
Okay.
All 3 of us have the Steelers at 2 and the Chiefs at 1.
So you just want me to talk about the Steelers?
Talk about both of them.
Sam, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers at number 1.
You do?
Really?
I do.
Wow. Okay. Well.
Wowie. Wow.
Let's just both talk about the Chiefs real quick.
Yeah, you both talk about the Chiefs.
And then I'll dive into my thoughts on the Steelers. I just have the Chiefs at number 1 because I know they only played the Broncos, but I mean they looked like they were back. They beat a good Bills team the week before. I still think that they are the team to beat with their offense and their defense, who is definitely, they're not like elite, but they're definitely above average and getting close to great. And then if you want to give your thought.
The Kansas City Chiefs are certainly the scariest team on offense of any team in the league, and I would say that usually that gives you the edge in almost any case. But I guess I'm not going to talk about any negatives about the Chiefs. The Chiefs are still the most dangerous team as far as scoring at will against you when you play them. Patrick Mahomes is once again, still we run out of superlatives to when we mention Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I almost kind of feel bad for him because he rose to stardom so fast that so early in his career we expect like 350, 400-yard games from him, 4 or 5 touchdowns a game, and like realistically speaking, when he plays NFL offenses, he's not going to put up those numbers all the time. He's still the best quarterback in the league.
Yeah, by far. Well,
be
Russ is getting pretty close.
Russ is close, but I think that Patrick Mahomes is going to be number one for a long time, and I think the addition of Le'Veon Bell also. I don't know how he did against Denver.
He had like 30
I
rushing yards.
didn't watch that game, but I think that as time goes on, he's just going to be incorporated more and more into that already lethal offense, and it's just going to be absolutely terrifying. Their defense is still their whatchamacallit, their Achilles heel, and it's nowhere near as bad as it used to be. I will for sure say that. They have come leaps and bounds, but I still don't know if any team is afraid of that defense, because let's be real. I slandered on the Patriots for like 5 minutes. They're one of the worst teams in the league. And a couple weeks ago, when we played Kansas City, we lost to them pretty handedly. I have no things to say about that. But they had, I think, 2 defensive scores, and both of them were on just silly mistakes by our offense. It was a drop by Damian Bird and a drop, or by Demir Bird, and a drop by Julian Edelman. And for a while, if it wouldn't have been for those mistakes, maybe it would have been a little closer. Now, they're still a very good defense. They're still a very good team. But I will make you say your piece about the Steelers first.
Okay.
Zach, say yours. Emilio, finish with yours. And then, since you have them at number 1, and then the only reason I'll say this real quick. The only reason I put the Chiefs at number 1 instead of the Steelers is because of the way the Steelers played in the second half, and the Chiefs just outright dominated. Now again, it was against a not great football team, and I really did consider putting the Steelers at 1, and I was very surprised that I really put the Steelers at. But I'll get into my thoughts about the Steelers. And if they beat the Ravens this week, you can bet your ass they will be at number 1 next week. Like, undoubtedly number 1.
Okay.
But Zach, go ahead.
Okay. I've said this before, but I like their defense. It's arguably the best front 7 in the league.
I don't think it's arguably. I think it is. I don't think it's arguably the best front 7.
Yeah, that's fair. Secondaries, there's some holes.
Yeah.
But the only problem I have with their defense is that even against it, like the Titans, this isn't the first time that they've gotten a lead and then given it up. Like, I know the Broncos, like that game was way closer than it needed to be.
They won by 5.
Yeah, way closer than it needed to be. But I just am still not a believer in the offense. Now, I will give you this. James Conner has been playing better these past 2 weeks. And I did give him some shit.
James Conner has been playing very well.
He did. He did play well the past couple weeks. I know we talked about it like while the game was happening, but I just think the offense has turned into like the Patriots 2.0 towards the end of Tom's career in New England, where it was just dink and dunk and basically let the receivers do all the work. I mean, yeah, it's impressive that they could hold the ball for 10 minutes to start the game, and they scored on the Titans. I mean, the Titans didn't do anything to stop it, but in the second half, which I think will happen with a lot of good, better teams than they have been playing, minus the Browns and the Titans, that people are going to adjust to that style of play. And what did you guys put up 3 points in the second half?
That would be correct.
Yeah.
Which is not acceptable.
No.
It's not acceptable, and that is the sole reason why I have them number 2. We win that game by more than 3. We win that game by a touchdown. I have them at number 1. That game shouldn't have been a nail biter. It should have been a blowout, and I'll talk about it.
Yeah, that's what I'm just not fully bought in on the offense, and I'm not fully bought in on Ben. either. Just
I can
because
agree with that.
the numbers haven't been there, and it's because of that. Like, I can't fault him completely because it's the style of offense that they're running. So like that's going to happen. But I just think personally that if they want to be considered that number one team, they need to expand the offense a little more, or when other teams make adjustments to what they're doing, make offensive adjustments. Have the ability, or have the ability to throw those 10 to 15-yard routes when teams start catching on to their 3-yard slants or their quick throws to Connor out of the backfield, like the Titans did. That's all that's all I can really say. I mean, who knows what would have happened if that game actually went to overtime. I think whoever got the ball
We'll talk about it.
I think whoever got the ball first was going to win.
Emilio,
But
your number one ranked Pittsburgh Steelers.
The elite teams, the elite of the elite, they win ugly games, they win in blowouts, they win in games that nobody watches. This was the best game of the week by far, and
I think that Seahawks Cardinals game.
okay,
those
yeah,
are
okay,
most exciting.
The by far was incorrect, but
It was the best game because
the best
you
game in the early slate
yes.
without question. And I mean, Pittsburgh's defense is elite, with no question. And I would say, as somebody who benefited from the dink and dunk offense for many years, I mean,
at least you can admit it.
you can't fault the elite teams for running that style of offense. I think that I think that a lot of teams who are up by that much and play like that in the second half almost always lose. Like they're unable to hold on. Like the momentum shift is too big, and they're unable to stop a very good Titans defense or offense with an MVP candidate in Derrick Henry from just getting
75 yards.
Yeah.
The previous week he put up 200.
While it is certainly interchangeable between the Chiefs and the Steelers at this point, I gave the edge to the Steelers mainly because in those close games, in those games where you're up by a ton and then all of a sudden the momentum shift is against you and the team starts rattling off scoring drives and they stop you on offense and stuff. The teams with the elite defenses, like the Pittsburgh Steelers, will get that one stop. Now, granted, Stephen Gostkowski should have made that kick to send it to overtime. But on the other side, the Tennessee Titans could have kept driving down the field and punched it in to win it in regulation.
Or they could have played much better in the first half.
And that defense that they had with the best front seven in the league was the sole reason that they kicked that field goal and that it eventually led to the Steelers winning outright in regulation. I will have to see how they play against, in my opinion, their biggest challenge so far in Baltimore in order for them to stay at number one. If they beat Baltimore by number one, or if they beat Baltimore by a convincing margin, and I consider a convincing margin by greater than one possession, then I think that there is zero argument as to why they shouldn't be number one on everybody else's.
If they beat Baltimore by more than one touchdown, I think the Steelers are the team to beat the rest of the year. I think the Steelers could go undefeated. I don't want them to. I'll talk about that in a minute. But I think that they could.
But that is why I give the edge to the Steelers over the Kansas City Chiefs this week, but we'll have to. I don't know who Kansas City plays next week, but it was certainly a
Kansas City plays the Jets.
good win for. Oh my god. Okay. It was a good win
Favored by
for.
21.
It was a good win for Pittsburgh, and they are set up to keep that momentum for the rest of the season. So
Zachary Lorai. Currently playing the Titans versus Steelers on Madden. Not a great start for the Steelers. Went 3 and out the first drive with 2 sacks and Juju fumbled. I've run 2 plays with the Titans and I'm up 14-0. Key takeaways from the game. Tannehill didn't play great for except for 142-yard touchdown pass. But Henry went for over 100 rushing yards. I play on all pro. Sam, it's going to be a massacre on the podcast if the Steelers lose. A massacre, I tell you. You better hope the Steelers don't lose. I will show no remorse. Oh, you just wait. Titans, 31-14. Mark it. Emilio, Sam, I'm not even going to give you the satisfaction. Zach, I want a bloodbath. Zach, do you remember those conversations that we had?
I don't know what you're talking about.
he pulled the receipts out. Oh my god.
Do you remember those texts?
I think that you just made all of that up. Honestly.
I made every single bit of it up.
He pulled the receipts out. Oh my god.
I think that's why I took
in the first quarter, the Pittsburgh Steelers had 22 rushing yards, 108 passing yards, 130 total yards, 8 first downs in 13 minutes and 39 seconds of possession. The Titans had 1 rushing yard, 1 total yard, no first downs, and 1:21 of possession. That first half of football was the best half of football I have ever seen by the Steelers. Ever. 21-7 going into half. It was 24-7 going into half.
Yeah.
Besides the momentum shifter at the end of the half, I think that might have been the best half of football I've ever seen by the Steelers. Second half, and I will give Zach credit for this. The Titans are a second half team. Zach, and this is Emilio. Zach, any thoughts on Pittsburgh in the first half? So defense looks good. Offense isn't anything special, and I'll live by that. Also, what the hell was that? And I was referring to the interception, and I agree. Zach ignored the fact that we were able to, and he talked about it today, that dink and dunk offense. Being able to hold the ball for 13 minutes in a quarter is unfathomable. That was almost, they almost took the whole quarter for one drive. That was how they were going to win that game, is keep the ball out of Derrick Henry's hands. And they did just that. The second half, the Steelers played bad.
Wait. Time out.
Okay.
If we're pulling up receipts here, give me a quick sec.
Oh, goodness.
That's why it took me so long. I was trying to scroll up.
I just want you just didn't say.
I did call it a 3-point game, by the way. I said it was going to be 41-38 Steelers. I said it was going to be a Boswell field goal at the end of the game, but it was this Gostowski one that ended it. So,
God, this was.
Let me continue talking while you're finding it up, because it takes a minute. That second half, the Steelers played very poorly. They did not execute offensively. Chase Claypool wasn't involved in the game at all because he was getting covered like a number 1 wide receiver the whole game. Juju stepped up his role. I said on the podcast last week that Juju was going to have a breakout game this week. He didn't have a breakout game, but his role was definitely elevated. Who did step up this week was somebody we've been missing the last 2 weeks. It was Deontay Johnson, who had 2 touchdowns this week and looked phenomenal. James Conner, like Zach mentioned, is clicking when he should be. I said this a couple weeks ago. It might have been even last week, but I trust James Conner again. I have faith in handing the ball to James Conner. He did have one where he almost fumbled it and gave it away on that big first opening drive, but they were able to hold the ball. And they were able, like Emilio said, to win the game ugly. And I said that. I forgot to read that. I totally forgot to read that. I said that. I said, I don't care if the Steelers win as long, or if it's ugly, as long as they win. I didn't care. As long as they kept the win, I didn't care how they won. And I didn't like the way that they won the game. I think that that second half defense and offense shows up against the Ravens, we're going to get beat. But I take every bit of satisfaction knowing that we are the only undefeated team left in the league. That has never happened in any of our lifetimes. And for me, it just, this year has been really fucked up. But right now, everything, I mean, and I don't know how it is for anybody else out there. My life's been up and down this year. Things are looking up. And this, for me, is, I couldn't have asked for, I can't ask for anything better because they're perfect right now. Other than that blunder they had earlier in the second half, they're perfect right now. I've never seen, and I think they're going to the Super Bowl. I historically, I'm gonna say it. I think they have what it takes to make it to the Super Bowl and to win it.
You just ruined it.
I may have just ruined it, but
just ruined it.
I feel so confident in this team and what I've been seeing. I don't want them to go undefeated. I think they would benefit from a good loss to the Ravens or the Bills or something to kind of keep them in check. Like, hey, you're not invincible. And I don't think they think they're invincible. But the way that we played that first half, if we can play like that every drive and every game, keep that same pace and that momentum, I don't think there's anybody that can stand in our way. I think this is the best Steelers team I've seen in my lifetime. I really do. And that's crazy because we've had teams where we had Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, years where our defense had James Harrison, Troy Polamalu, James Ferrier, Ryan Shazier, all these hitters, all these amazing players. And this ragtag group of guys, the defense isn't ragtag, but this
ragtag group of guys.
This offense is a ragtag group of bunch.
How?
Our offense, not our defense.
How?
Our offense is built around young talent.
How's that ragtag though? Like you've got the same offensive line you've had for the past.
The offensive line has been pretty
7
consistent.
years.
But our skill positions, the positions that matter most, are the positions that are going to get us points on the board. Haven't been. Like, we've had significantly better players at those positions in the past.
Well,
Hines Ward, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell. And I don't know what it is about this team, but I see them as watch out for them this year.
Okay.
I think it would be very hard for them to not at least make the Super Bowl. Because best case scenario, we don't have to play the Chiefs, but we'll see how that ends up. Because right now we have the 1 seed. If we keep the 1 seed, we will make the Super Bowl. Mark it. If we have the 1 seed, we will make the Super Bowl. Because Pittsburgh is one of the hardest places to play. And that is where I'll end my little rant.
Fair enough.
Pull up your receipts and let's make our picks.
No, I just wanted to you just didn't mention how you completely disregarded my the Titans are second half team comment.
I did say it. I said I want to give you credit. You said the Titans are a second half team, and they were.
No, when I had originally said it, all you said you just said all right. That's all you said.
I said I pushed it off. He was right. He was right. He was right, and I gave you the credit. The Titans were a second half team.
You did.
That's why I have the Titans so low, though, is that they've been in these really tight games, and it came to show that when they played a good team, they couldn't keep it together. Now it was their kicking. Well, no, listen. It was their kicking, but every inch of that team has to be perfect if you're going to want to be good teams. Every
Yeah,
inch of the
for
team.
three
If
interceptions.
they play better in the first half, they win that game. It's a whole football game. The Steelers played perfect football in the first half. The Titans played damn near perfect football in the second half.
Yeah, they're
It
just about.
it was a very evenly matched, well game. But at the end of the day, if you can't close it against good teams and good defenses, then I'm sorry, I can't put you as high as you guys had them. But yeah.
Yeah. All right.
All right, let's make our picks really quick and we'll end the pod.
Yeah, I'm just gonna fly through these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go back and listen and type them in.
Yeah,
When I go back and listen to it.
All right.
Okay, you have the pick split up?
Yeah. Falcons, Panthers. I got burned once by these guys. I'm probably gonna do it again, but I'm taking the Falcons.
Emilio?
I'm hesitant to pick the Falcons just because I believe in their offense. But every single time they just let me down.
Oh, by the way, I won the picks last week, therefore I'm now only $5 underneath Zach.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're taking Falcons.
Should have changed my Raiders pick, and we would have been tied.
Yeah. Emilio's taking the Falcons. I'll take the Panthers.
Okay.
Because I think they might be getting CMC back.
Yeah. Next one on my list. I doubt he'll play this week since it's a short week, but.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Okay.
they play tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I'm taking the Falcons. Never mind.
Okay, so we all got the Falcons?
Yeah.
All right. Patriots, Bills. I have the Bills. I'm pretty sure we all have the Bills. Unless, Emilio, you're sticking with your boys. Emilio? You there, buddy?
Okay, give me two slots. Give me realistic football fan and give me biased football fan.
Okay.
Realistically, I'm taking the Bills. As a lifetime Patriots fan, I will never pick against them.
Okay, fair enough. Sam, I'm pretty sure you got the Bills.
Yeah.
Okay. Titans, Bengals. Pretty sure we all have the Titans.
Yep.
Raiders, Browns. I'm taking the Browns. I don't know about you guys.
I like the way Derek Carr's been playing.
Yep, I do too. I'm
taking the Raiders.
You're both taking the Raiders?
Yeah.
The Raiders.
All right. Colts, Lions. I'm going to take. Oh, this is actually a tough one. This is a tough one.
It'll be a very mediocre game.
I think. God, I'm going to take the Lions.
I'll take the Lions. I'll take the Lions as well.
We are all taking the Lions. I already wrote it down.
That's what my heart's telling me right now.
I think Lions too.
That's what my heart's telling me.
Lions are trending upwards.
They are.
Packers, Vikings. I'm going to take the Packers. I think we're all taking the Packers.
Yes.
A lot of very easy games this week. Yeah, I'll take.
Yeah.
This
next one gets way easier.
Chiefs. We're taking the Chiefs. Everybody.
The Chiefs minus 21.
If the Chiefs don't cover, Doug. Oh my God.
Okay. Rams, Dolphins. We all know who I'm picking. I'm picking the Dolphins.
Zach, I'm sorry, but Herbert's been playing too well for me to pick against him.
Oh, I didn't realize that the Herbert plays for the Rams now.
Oh wait, I saw their logo and I thought it was the Chargers. I saw the logo and I thought it was the Chargers. Oh well, I think Aaron Donald's going to be too much for them.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
I'll
take Los Angeles as well.
All right.
Almost there.
Lock me in for this next one.
So Sam's locked in for the Ravens.
Yep, locked in for the Ravens.
No,
I'm taking the Steelers, by the way, guys, in case you couldn't tell.
I just Emilio, you make your pick. I'm actually struggling with this one.
I am too. We're gonna have to come back to this one.
Yeah, we're gonna come back. Chargers, Broncos. I'm taking the Chargers. Justin Herbert.
Yes.
Chargers, Broncos. Yeah. Chargers.
Saints, Bears. I'm gonna take the Saints.
I am as well.
I think it'll be close, but I'll take the Saints.
Yeah. 49ers, Seahawks. It's going to be closer than it would have been 2 weeks ago, but I'm taking the Seahawks.
I will as well. Although,
I will as well. I am hesitant, but I will.
yeah,
Um,
depends on which Jimmy G shows up.
Yeah.
just one of the worst Sunday night football games.
This might be the worst Sunday night football game in the history of Sunday night football.
But I'm taking the Eagles. Never in my lifetime will you catch me picking a team led by Ben DiNucci to win a game.
Benny Gucci.
Ben DiCucci.
I think I will.
You're gonna take the Cowboys?
I think I'll take Ben DiNucci in the
You
Cowboys.
know that's
Whoa.
free money for me.
And there is one reason I'm taking it. Ezekiel Elliott's been playing like dog shit the last couple.
He is due for a big game.
He's
I
due.
will
He
say that.
is due.
Well, I mean, unless he rushes for 200 yards, it's not going to do much.
I mean, the Eagles aren't good either.
The Eagles suck, yeah.
The Eagles aren't that good either, dog.
I mean,
It really comes down to who can score more points. Because both of them are trash.
They're better than the Cowboys.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see
Yeah.
on primetime football.
I disagree, or no, I agree with everything that Sam says. However, I am still going to take the Eagles just because it's fucking Ben DiNucci.
right.
And then last game, Buccaneers Giants. This one's pretty easy. I think we're all taking the Giants on this one.
Yep. Danny Jones.
Tom Brady's
lock
finally
it in.
getting it. Well, actually, no, he beat the snot out of the Giants last year too.
Maybe he quakes. Maybe he quakes against the Giants. He has flashbacks.
He could.
They bring back Eli Manning for this one game.
Eli Manning dresses up as
Eli Manning and David Tyree.
God.
Oh my God.
But yeah, everybody's taking the Buccaneers.
All right. You got a game to go back to.
Back to the Steelers Ravens.
Oh
God. I hate the Ravens more. Like, I just hate the Ravens. But coming off that win, Ravens coming off a bye at home.
Dog, they weren't. Here's the thing: they weren't supposed to be coming off a bye, but the fucking Titans, dude.
As much as I hate to say it, I think I have to take the Ravens. I don't know. It's just.
I'll let you take the Ravens, but you can't shit talk me this week.
I'm gonna be rooting for the Steelers, which is weird. But for the sake of like our picks, I think I'm gonna take the Ravens. I think
Emilio?
I'm
Final pick of the pod. Final thing of the pod. We're split right now. We were split last week.
Emilio, you know what your gut's telling you.
Yeah, I know.
You know what it's telling you.
I'm going to go with my gut. I'm going to pick the Pittsburgh Steelers in this game.
That's what I figured.
10-0. Here we go. If we win this game, we will go 10-0, and then we'll probably lose to the Ravens on Thanksgiving.
I mean, you think? Oh yeah. I mean, you got
they have the night game on Thanksgiving. We have the Cowboys and the Bengals and the Jags.
Jesus.
And then we have the. Let me read you our schedule real quick.
I'm looking at it right now.
It's the easiest schedule. We have the Cowboys, Bengals, Jaguars, Ravens, then the football team. Then we have Buffalo. Then we end the season with the Bengals, the Colts, and then a probably meaningless game against the Browns.
I'm telling you, that game's going to have significance.
Okay.
For at least one of the teams. For you guys, probably.
It could be seeding.
For you guys, probably seeding. For the Browns, probably getting into a wild card spot.
I could see it. But yeah. Wow, longest podcast yet. Probably clocking in.
What a long one.
Just
Holy
under
moly.
3 hours.
But
if you stuck through this one, I really appreciate it. We all do. We normally go long on the NFL, but we really wanted to take time to dive into the NCAA. Next week will probably be normal time. It might be a little shorter because we'll see.
We'll have
But yeah, Emilio, thank you again for coming on to this week to discuss college
Thank
football.
you for having me. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Everybody, go send links out to your friends for the podcast. We've got it on Apple Podcasts. We've got it on Spotify. We've got it on YouTube. We've got it on Google Podcasts. Anywhere you can find a podcast, we've got it now. Go listen.
If we could just like make some money off this, it'd be perfect.
I would love to get some sponsorships on this thing once we start getting a little bit of a following. Please send it out, blast it out. It is 1:11 in the morning right now, and I will be posting this probably by 3:00 this morning. It'll be up this morning. We're putting a lot of hard work into these. I really appreciate all the support everybody's throwing in on us. I really do.
Give us a rating on Apple.
Yeah, rating on Apple. Like it on YouTube. Leave comments on YouTube. We were going to do top 5 candies today. I'm going to roll through my top 5 candies. Number 5, Snickers. Number 4, Haribo Gummy Bears. Number 3, Dark Kit Kats. Number 2, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. And number 1, Sour Patch Kids.
I'm going to be completely honest. I did not make my top 5 list.
I know. You both probably forgot. And I forgot to say it. That was my fault. That was my fault.
Any answer other than Kit Kats is an incorrect answer. That's all I'm gonna say.
Kit Kats are very good.
Dark chocolate Kit Kats.
I am more of a fruity kind of guy. Like I would probably put gummy bears / worms as my number 1, and then like Starburst is number 2.
Pink Starburst only.
No, red. Red's the best by far.
Red's the best.
Oh my gosh.
Oh God. Okay. Podcast over.
All right, everybody. Thank you. Remember to set your clocks back this weekend. Enjoy that extra hour of sleep.
I just want to say one more word.
What's up?
Actually, I'll let you finish your thing and then I'll end it.
Remember to flip your clocks back this week. Enjoy the extra hour of sleep. Enjoy some football. Enjoy some college football. Ohio State, Penn State slaughter. Steelers, Ravens. Going to be a good game. Zach, last words.
It's Tua time.
Go Bucks.
It's Tua time.
Damn you, Emilio.
Yeah, go Bucks. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening.
It's